information, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decide the fiction from the truth. Society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
You're darn tootin'. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Here we go. Episode 403. It's going down. Good to see you. I feel like we're banging these out, kind of getting back in the groove, you know? And then we got another one on Wednesday, just punching them out. I hope everybody's well. And if you're not well, I hope that today's show brings you a little bit of solace and relief, because we're going to talk about music and we're going to talk about stuff that we love. Take your mind off whatever bullshit is going on in your life. So there you go. Good to see everybody. The usual suspects. So let's see who we got out there. How about, first off, let me introduce my co-host. You know him, you love him, Senor Joel Gustin. Hey, man.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hello to everybody in the chat room. Zoller, Ray Hogan, Lori Dawn. Good to see everybody. Darren.
Speaking of Lori Dawn, hold on. Let me get a good intro for her. Okay, ready? All right. Let me see what else I got. Good Lori Dawn intro. Let me see. Hold on. You ready for your intro? Hold on, let me see.
I like the heartbeat better. It was the tail.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lori Dawn.
Yes, that one. The telltale heart.
You know, I don't think I want to host the show anymore. I think I just want to do all the cool shit behind the scenes and like do all the effects and everything like that. Yep.
We'll do it. We're practically doing it already. So
it's practically the Joel and Lori show for the next couple of weeks anyway. So
and wait, there's more.
Hey.
There you go.
That one I like. That
one's
perfect for Steven.
Yeah. Yep. What's going on? I heard the art show was really fantastic.
It was a great turnout. People came out. It was, because it was the Beverly Town art crawl. So there was a lot of people out there and they were looking to spend. So all the artists did well. And it was a fun day.
Check this out.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, look at that.
Lori doesn't mess around.
No,
Branded bags.
What's in the bag? What's in the bag?
It's a little gift I can't reveal.
I paid a lot of money for those bags too. I had to buy them by like the gross. It was crazy. It's like insane.
Hey, shouting out Knife Twister Records. Hey, Drew, saying hi from a few miles up the river. Up the river from me. I think he's in White Plains, New York. So thank you. And by the way, if anybody's paying attention here, that is what.
Ooh.
Excuse me. I've only been doing this 5 years, and I don't really have a command of the controls yet. That is a super chat, and you too can do one and support the show. And if you have a question, I'll pay attention to you. So there you go.
Hey, shout out to Daniel joining us from Sweden. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Daniel Markland. Where in Sweden are you, Daniel? Sweden, my kind of country.
And to answer
Scott Earth.
Hey, Scott.
Earth.
Wow, you're taking a break from ranting on social media to actually watch the show.
He could probably multitask. He could probably do two things at once.
Yeah, so surprised that you would take a break from from your social media rants. Thanks, Scott. Good to see you.
And to answer Ray's question, yeah, I was at the art show yesterday and ran into Mr. Dave Tree. And we should try to synchronize this because Dave was nice enough to give me a great gift. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tree winter hat. Look at that. It's amazing. Wow. There you go. Right on, Steven. Merchandising. We're like Schwartz from Spaceballs.
Fantastic. Right. I love it.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Rachel was also there with her candles. And I picked up a couple of candles from She Devil Coven Candles. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, I'm just busting your balls, bro.
There we go.
Oh, look at that. Cool.
Great sponsor of the show.
Yes.
Shout out to Rachel.
Oh, LOL, it's football day. Okay. What does that mean? That you're watching football and not watching my show? Hey, let me ask anybody out there. You got a better view on Facebook? Darren said, StreamYard's offering another kind of weird format. Is this coming through? Everybody okay? There's another like weird format that they're broadcasting, a vertical format. So,
was that the thing I see over on the side?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a vertical one on the side.
Right. I see that. Maybe that's for the phone.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so, but it's real weird. Now, Steven, I'm going to bust your balls now.
Uh-oh.
You're my next victim here.
What have I done?
What have you done? What have you done? So Steven sends me, I'm like, yo, send me a picture for the day, right? And he sends me this, right? And he sends me this, right? And I'm like, bro, listen, it's not that. Listen, I like this artist, but it's really not that kind of a party today. It's more like this kind of a party. It's more like this kind of a party today. Boom. What do we got here, Steven?
Ah.
And no disrespect to Adea. No disrespect to Adea. Her band is great.
Yeah.
But
Adea from Atomic Life. Check it out, people.
Well, the reason I also use that is because, the drummer is also in Dillinger Escape Plan.
Stop kissing their asses, bro. All right. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live.
Okay.
We're just kind of inappropriate, and we'll make our way back to them when the time comes.
Right. Okay.
Because what we really want to talk about is like stuff from 30 years ago and death metal pictures from 30 years ago. So who do we have here?
All right. So we don't want to do any guessing. This is from 2010, and I'm sure
15 years ago.
Lori recognizes this is taken at the Crazy Donkey in Farmington. Yeah. And this is Cannibal Corpse. And who always put on a great show, especially in a small room like that. And it was a great triple bill. As a matter of fact, that was Cannibal Corpse, Skeleton Witch, and 1349. It was a great bill. And there he is, the corpse grinder. And
the Crazy Donkey.
What I love about this guy is one of the things he does. When you go to diners and they have that little thing with the stuffed animals and the arm that you grab them?
Yeah. He
goes all around the country collecting stuffed animals and then donating them to like children's hospitals and stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's like a sweetheart of a guy. And I don't know.
You know what that is? You know what that is really? That's called road madness. That's like you're on the road too long to the point where you're delirious and you like do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of corpse grinder, here's a fun fact. Do you guys know how George got his name, Corpse Grinder?
No.
From a song on the first demo of Death,
Oh,
which
Oh,
coincidentally is going to come up today because
Hey.
we have a guest from said band.
right.
See, things happen for a reason here.
There you go.
yes. Those are some great photos, Stephen.
Thank you. I missed that place. I saw too many great shows to count at this place.
Yeah.
And there's all the hair missing from today's show right there.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a great shot. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Oh, he also does it in Japan. I guess that's really his thing, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he does it all over the world. I mean, I guess, the funny thing is, how many people do you know that can actually catch the damn stuffed animal with the arms?
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
usually, I only know one person that can do it. That's my friend Denise.
Oh, yeah.
She's got the magic
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah. So,
Crazy. All right. Lori, thank you.
yes.
Thank
We
you,
will
Lord.
talk to you
I
soon.
don't know what I did here, but you're welcome.
Just for being you.
Yes.
Thanks just for being you. I'll talk to you in a bit. Stephen, we'll see you later. It's just you and me now, buddy.
All right, let's talk shit. Oh, like we can't. We're live.
Like I've already, it's the worst when I try to be like funny and it's like not funny, and I'm like coming off like half an asshole now, So probably just fuck Drew Stone and his show. What an asshole. But listen, can't be. Speaking of funny, who's coming to town is our good friend and supporter Joe Sib.
Nice.
Comedian is doing his California Calling, a story of growing up punk rock, this Friday down on at St. Mark's Comedy Club, right on St. Mark's. It's $20 to get in. It's a small place. So if anybody's in town, I will be going down there. If anybody's in town, come on down and see Joe Sib. We love that guy.
Definitely. Sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. How about we bring our guest on? Let me clear the deck. Make sure everybody's okay. All right. And away. What is this? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Yo. Today's guest is an American vocalist and drummer hailing from the East Bay of California. As a pioneer of the death doom fusion genre, he is best known for his work with the bands The Ravenous, Doomed, Eat My Fazuk, Painted Doll, Static Abyss, Violation Wound, and of course, Death, Autopsy, and Abscess. Please welcome, coming at us from Vallejo, California, Mr. Chris Reifert. Hey, man.
How we doing?
Good. How's
up?
things?
Good. I want to start things off right. You get some pretty good sound effects,
Right?
but do you have a yodeling pickle?
Wow.
There we go.
And
We can
there
end
my
the show now.
and once again, there you have, my friends, a man who spent many days out on the road.
What are you saying?
Is that something you picked up in a truck stop, like in like the middle of nowhere?
No, I think I got it for Christmas some years ago, and I can't bear to part with it.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Still works.
That's a good one, man. How's things?
Things are good. Just hanging out, having some coffee, and chilling out, and happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy you're here too. I have a good feeling about today, and
I have a great feeling.
yeah.
The best feeling.
Hey, I wore my Zappa shirt just in sort of like, I know you're a Zappa fan too. So
I am.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah. Yeah. You got a seal of approval from me for sure.
Yeah. So
I got my residence on today.
I saw that. And that's it. I don't know. I don't actually know that much about the Residents, but they are a Bay Area act, correct?
Cat's trying to get in here. Hello. She They don't like closed doors. Are you coming in?
Yeah.
Come on in.
In or out?
In or out? Now I'm going to shut the door. She's going to want out.
Yeah.
I think residents originally started off in, I want to say like North Carolina, and then ended up in San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very mysterious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw them live a couple times. They played 2 Halloweens in a row at the Fillmore in San Francisco. It was incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they a band like? Do people know who like the main guy is or anything?
People know now.
Yeah.
Only in recent years, but for many years they were just unidentifiable with the the eyeballs and
the
top
orb.
hats
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the whole thing. But everyone knows who they are now. So, but
Is that right? Is that right? The OG guy from the Residents was in Captain Beefheart for a while. Interesting.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep. All right, so let's get. Hey, by the way, I know there's a couple of people tuning into the show for the first time. The Azriel Crowley. Any questions you have? We kind of hold off till the second half of the show. We sort of make our way a little bit down the timeline, and then at a certain point, we throw it open to questions from around the world. But let's start with the usual. How did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
A very musical household. My parents actually met from being on the folk circuit.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom and her brother played folk music, and I think her brother was friends with my dad, and then that's how they met. And then my grandfather on my mom's side, he was a jazz musician. He actually played vibraharp. And do you know who Pete Fountain is, the clarinetist?
Mm-hmm.
He actually asked my grandfather to join his band way back in the day. And my grandfather politely declined because he was raising my mom and her brother. So that was kind of a cool thing. But there was always music in the house,
Awesome.
Acoustic guitars and records. My parents had a record collection, and they got me started immediately with music. It was incredible.
Did when you say they were the folk circuit, like as a young person, what was sort of on your radar screen? I mean, did you as a young person, did you care for any of that stuff, or was that just sort of like the ambient music in your world?
You know what? I think by the time I came around, they weren't doing the folk stuff anymore.
Right.
So I kind of just absorbed what was in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then the radio, of course, radio was huge.
Sure.
I had this little metal train radio that I would listen to. Let's see what else. I started off with the usual kid stuff like Disney records and all that,
Sure.
And then when I got old enough to be trusted with the turntable, my parents would let me play their records. They had everything from like Beatles. I call it the 3 Bs. They had Beatles, Beethoven, and Bo Diddley. And I would listen to all that stuff, and a lot of it went over my head.
Sure.
But, in later years, it all makes sense. You're like, oh, man, that was really awesome. But that was kind of the beginning, just whatever they had around the house, the kid records, the radio, that's how it all began before I started discovering my own music, which I think I have a very common story as a lot of people my age.
Please, what was the first music that like spoke to you that you felt was, this is mine? This isn't my parents. This isn't like, on the radio, but this is speaking to me.
All right. You know what's coming, right? Kiss.
Yeah.
As a kid in the 70s, that's
here we go.
Yeah, here we go. So I think I know exactly the moment when I freaked out. I was watching TV, probably Saturday morning cartoons or something. I don't know. It was 1978. I was 9 years old, and the TV commercial came on for the solo albums. And I didn't really know anything about Kiss. I might have seen them on a magazine cover in a grocery store or something like that. But the commercial came on, and they had those little like 2-second snippets of each of their solo albums. And it was just, something happened in there, and I have not recovered since.
Yeah.
So I had to be a part of that. So what happened was I somehow got a couple of bucks together, mowing the lawn or washing the car, one of the household chores. I got enough money to get one album. And so I got taken to Kmart where they had like a little record section. I didn't know about record stores yet. I was a kid.
Sure.
And so I could only buy one. So which one was it going to be? It had to be
A
Ace,
lot.
man.
It had to Ace?
It had to be Ace. Yeah. I mean, the little sound snippet of New York Groove on the commercial, then that album cover, it was a pretty easy choice. And man, that album still rules. I'm still devastated from Ace's passing. That was so brutal. Oh.
That record is a great record. I mean, it's interesting, right, Joel, how they dropped those 4 records and it's sort of the Ace record ends up being the standout, right?
Yeah, funny enough, the last time I saw Ace, he did a one of those Kiss convention appearances down in Jersey. And the end of Saturday night's day, he got up with his band. He played that 78 solo record from start to finish.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times he ever did that. It may have been the only time he ever played that whole album front to back, but it was awesome.
That sounds insane. I saw him live like 2 or 3 years ago, and he was top of his game. I heard people saying, last time he was so bad, I walked out, and I would never walk out, even if he was having an off night, because that's still your hero. He's still the guy that you grew up with. So I would never do that. But he was on that night. He was like killing it. It was so good.
Yeah, I think Ace was the kind of artist that like sometimes he rose to the occasion and sometimes he was a little wasted.
It happens to the best of us,
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, you want to see like precision or the same shit every. Go see the Eagles, right? That's what you get. You want to sort of kind of roll the dice. Go see like Bobby Hamble and Biohazard or Ace Frehley or what have you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Seeing Ace Frehley, who's a guitar player, did you pick up drums first?
I did. I think what started it all was going to my grandparents on my mom's side when the adults would go and do whatever they did, probably drinking and whatever else they got up to. They'd set me on the floor in the kitchen with like some pots and pans and some wooden spoons or something like that to bang around on. I guess they thought it'd be a good idea to keep me busy. And I guess I liked it enough to where they actually encouraged it as I got older. And they put me in a marching band in probably like 78 or 79. So I actually was in a marching band for a minute playing bass drum. And then I got a drum pad to learn like rudiments and stuff. And then I think I got just like a snare drum. And then it went from there. I always wanted a drum kit. And one day we were at the local flea market and some guy was selling this drum kit. It was this like sparkly orange, like no name brand kit. And he was selling it for $100 and my dad talked him down to $65. And so we went home with the drum kit in the back of the wood paneled station wagon and off to the races.
What did said drum kit include?
It was a snare, a bass drum. I think it was a full kit. I think it had 2 toms and a floor tom, and it had one little stand attached to the kick drum with a tiny little cymbal on it.
One of those deals, yeah.
But it was a kit, so I was stoked.
The little like
exactly. Yeah, it was great.
Wait, do I have that? I might have that. Let me see.
I got the same kit, the sparkling orange, when I was
really.
Is that right?
My first kit for like $65 from a friend.
That's
Funny
insane.
Enough.
I think we're the same person.
We might be.
Yeah,
we got the same hairstyle, so we're happy.
I know there's a lot of that going on today.
I'm wearing the hat because I'm trying to be the oddball.
This ain't the New York Hairdresser Chronicles today.
Yeah, that's right. You want hair? Go tune in on the is that right? Back on YouTube now, and yes, there's a smart view. I gotta see. Yeah, There's two formats going today on YouTube. I'm trying to figure out what StreamYard is doing. It's all good. Once you started playing drums and all that, what drummers spoke to you at a young age?
You know what? I don't think I ever really was fascinated by drummers, or I think I was more fascinated by bands.
Yeah.
Honestly, it started with like Kiss. That was like my band. And then from there, just from like kids in school or whatever means it was, I learned about other stuff. Like Kiss was the first. And then I think Aerosmith was next, AC/DC, Cheap Trick. I got the Knack album when that came out, which that is still a great. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad had the wicked sideburns back then.
Dude, your dad is winning with those sideburns, man.
Oh, 100%.
Those are like some chops, man.
Yep.
Winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. I love how pictures from this era sort of have that sepia tone to them. It's just like yes, back then in the early 70s, like there was no color. It was a sepia world we lived in.
Exactly. It was like before going to Oz,
Yeah. Very cool. Yep.
Yeah, but I think I mostly was attracted to bands and not just drummers or guitar players or singers. I like the sound of bands and records and stuff like that. So
yeah,
that's what did it for me.
And what was the first sort of bands that like really kind of got you going?
Those ones: Kiss, Aerosmith, AC/DC, Cheap Trick, the Knack. And that first Knack album is still incredible, by the way. So if you're into like good like power pop, that's, you can't really do any worse than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just kind of progressed, then, I think that's probably like, I'm wearing a Joan Jett album shirt. So that has to be 1983. So I would have been 14 in that picture.
There you go.
Yeah.
With the rocking the Joan Jett Bad Reputation shirt.
Oh, that's the album from the album called Album.
Ah,
okay. I saw her on that tour. That was like one of my first big concerts I went to.
Yeah.
But so those bands, and then through the miracle of the local flea market and 25-cent records, I upped my game a little bit and discovered Alice Cooper and Black Sabbath. That was probably when I was like 10 or 11 or something like that. And I think that ignited what I call the quest for the heavy, because then I just wanted like heavier and harder stuff from there, and I just followed the arc of heavy progression as it came along.
In doing my my homework, I saw that Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush was a bit of an influence, which was sort of Frank Marino. Sort of, I don't want to say like a forgotten, but if you grew up in that era, Frank Marino was epic.
Oh yeah, Frank Marino, Robin Trower, Johnny Winter. I've seen
Rory Gallagher.
Oh, Rory Gallagher. I've never seen Rory live, but I saw all those other guys. I saw Frank Marino and Robin Trower a ton of times, and I saw Johnny Winter a couple times before he passed away.
Yeah.
The first time I saw Johnny, it was a little scary. He was getting near the end, and he was standing up, and he couldn't really sing, and he couldn't play that well, and he kind of looked like he was going to fall down. It was a little scary. And then he came around, I think the next year, and he was sitting down, and that's all he needed. Then he was fucking incredible. He was like doing all the solos and vocals. He just needed like some stability, and it was like I walked away feeling really good after that show.
I saw Johnny Winter here in New York City. He played Central Park in 1980. I was a very young teenager, and he absolutely set this. He fucking ripped. It was that Raising Cain album, and he came out and just ripped in 1980 in Central Park. So at what point was Guillotine your first band?
Yeah, that was my first attempt at a band. It was like me and a friend. Back then, if you found out someone played an instrument, or if they had, in our case back then, long hair or like a rock or metal shirt or something like that. That's a little bit later. That's probably like 84, 85, something like
Okay.
that.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. But yeah, we started, me and my buddy who I just met at school, you know, like, oh, you look like a rocker or a metal dude. You know, you start talking, and we formed a 2-person band. You know, it was just him and I. We wrote like 2, maybe 3 songs together, and sort of got good at them. And that was like my first attempt at like playing fast and not just learning drums and playing along to like Kinks records and stuff like that, you know. But we got a couple songs written and down, and then it just kind of fizzled out because we didn't know what we were doing or how to be a band or anything like that.
Were you singing too? Like right off the bat, were you playing drums and singing?
No, that came later. It was just one guitar and me on drums. We didn't know what we were doing. We just wrote a couple songs and never went anywhere. I think we may have made a rehearsal recording of those, which is way long gone, but we didn't know how to be a band or what a band did or anything. You got to start somewhere though. So it was a cool start. I think we came up with the band name right before it fell apart. We had a couple of other dumb attempts at band names that I don't remember what they are. I'm sure they're forgettably lame. But you know,
Guillotine's a good one for a young teenager. It's like, what should we call ourselves? You know, how about you know, Guillotine? Yeah,
off with their heads.
Yeah.
So like as soon as we came up with the band name, that was pretty much it. You know, so I'm like, all right, well, time to do something else. You know,
right? And did that lead into Burnt Offering?
It did. That came. Probably the Guillotine thing was like 83. And then the Burnt Offering thing, that was just like meeting friends in the neighborhood. Like a friend's like, hey, I know a friend in the neighborhood who's looking for a drummer or something like that. So I went, and I don't know if I tried out or whatever, but I just found myself in the band. And that was like a real band. We actually went into the studio and did a couple demos and played a few shows and a party and stuff like that. And that was actually a real band, like pretty good band, kind of like thrash, you know, fast, speedy thrash and heavy metal. I was just starting to discover the sort of like death metal-y stuff coming around, so I kind of tried to put a little bit of that in there as much as I could. But
Pat Baldwin asks, based on the movie Burnt Offerings?
You know what? I don't know. I wasn't around for the naming of the band. It was pre-existing. So
right.
I just kind of fell into this almost formed band.
I think we need to acknowledge a couple things in this photo because the chat room's heating up. One, the Nasty Savage shirt.
Oh,
which you know, everyone's like, yo, what's up? You know?
Yeah.
And then our good friend and graffiti historian respects to everyone that had a stereo system with giant speakers.
And that was actually a family friend's house, but I'm really admiring the wood paneling walls.
Oh yeah, and I'm feeling the headphones with the curly the headphones with the curly cord there is pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. You got to have the curly cord.
Yeah,
but I actually bought that shirt. I ordered it from the band Nasty Savage. That would have been 84 when I discovered, oh wow, you can send bands like $5 and get a demo or a shirt or whatever. And so that was one of the earlier bands where I actually ordered away and bought a t-shirt and a demo. You know, that was cool, discovering demos and like, oh my God, they don't have an album out, but I can get their music already. This is pretty cool.
Could you give us a take on that sort of demo trading network pre-internet? I mean, were you a part of that tape trading thing?
I mean, I wasn't one of those guys with like a photo album full of pages of demos and stuff like that. Like I wasn't an active trader, but I did collect them as much as I could. It started off just like buddies in the neighborhood, like, hey, I ordered this demo and that demo. And then what really set it off was discovering fanzines.
Right.
Then they had like, you know, ads for demos. I still remember the first fanzine I ever bought, which I still have. It was a Kick-Ass Monthly, and it was from '84. It had Wendy O. Williams on the front, and I saw it in a local record store. I'm like, what's this? It's black and white, not like Circus or Hit Parader or Cream or whatever. What is this? I picked it up and looked in it, and it's still in my garage in a box. And that was a huge revelation, because then you could read about underground bands and like order demos and, you know, discover bands that were not known or mainstream. And then it just went from there, you know, that it became this fever of having to just hear as many demos as bands as possible.
Joel, that was that the case for you? Sort of that underground extreme tape network?
Yeah, I mean, even when I kind of fell into the scene, which was like towards the end of the 80s, that stuff was still massive. You know, you could pen pal with somebody. You know, I remember, God, I think it might have been like Metal Maniacs magazine back in the day. You'd have like people posting things like, these are the bands I'm into, here's my address. And it just kind of grew from there. It was a really awesome time because, you know, I was a kid in the suburbs back then. And when we had Steve from Deicide on, I made the point, you want to know what's going on in extreme music, you talk to the kids in the suburbs, because they're going to seek that stuff out. And that's what we did back in the day. You know, that's how we discovered Death and Chuck and that whole thing. And of course, you know, Autopsy a little later on. But I want to go back to Nasty Savage a little bit. I mean, Chris, how great of a guy is Ronnie? I mean, come on.
You know what? I've never met him. I can't remember who actually mailed me the demo and the shirt. Somebody, maybe it was management or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I never did meet Ronnie. I always wanted to, because I always thought he'd be awesome. You know.
Yeah. I did a podcast with him like a year ago. He did it from his car because he had just lost his studio in the hurricane.
Oh,
that came through. And, you know, I hope he's doing better. You know, I know it was a little rough for him at that time, but even despite what was going on with him, he gave me like an hour. Sweetest guy in the world. So any opportunity I get to give props to Nasty Savage and their influence on this whole thing, you know, I think it's totally crucial to do that.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's great. That's good to hear.
Hey, Chris, I want to say that while this was going on the West Coast, and please, everyone, take note of the hairstyle here, which was really what this is. You on the West Coast. I got to show you the shot of me on the East Coast.
Bring it.
And it's like we're fucking kindred spirits. You ready?
I hope so. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
What year was that, Drew?
I'm probably the same age as you, but I'm a little older than you. This is, I think, 78 or 79.
Okay, I'm 56 right now, so
yeah. So I'm a couple years older than you. So, but this was the sort of teenage. I'm growing my hair long, trying to get away with it. Look.
Yep. You know? Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
So
it's incredible. Yep.
Yeah. So, which kind of brings us, I think, to after Burnt Offering, which brings us to Death. And how did Death come into your orbit? And how did you end up playing with Chuck?
Well, let's see. Actually, I had ordered a Death a live tape from their management at the time, and I'd been collecting the demos, so I was aware of the band ahead of time. There used to be a record store in San Francisco called the Record Vault, and they would sell demos and bootlegs of demos. They would do this thing where they'd sell you like a 60 or 90-minute tape with like a homemade cover, like it would be like a picture out of like a creepy or eerie comic or something like that, and they'd have like 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 demos on it, stuff like that. You know, total bootleg stuff, but it was great. And so I got a couple of the Death demos that way. So I was already a fan. You know, that was like in the early, discovering demo days kind of thing. And so I was already a fan of the band. And so after the Burn Offering thing, I have a great Ruthie's Inn story. I'll have to tell you about that when we get back to it. But whatchamacallit, I had a friend who was a DJ on the local high school radio station, and they had a metal show. And one day she came up to me and she was like, "Hey, I think you're looking for a band or something to do. I got this phone number. This guy named Chuck. He says he's looking for musicians for his band called Death."
And excuse me, this is out in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
Was Chuck out there?
He was living in this weird little town called Antioch at the time. He'd kind of been doing some bouncing around. He'd, came up in Florida and then came out to San Francisco for a while, went up to Canada for a while, I think back to Florida and then back to California. So he was kind of like jumping around trying to find out what home base should be.
Got it.
So he was here, and that was really weird because I knew about him and Death from like fanzines and demos and stuff like that. So when my friend gave me the phone number, I was like, there's no way it's the same guy. It's like got to be someone else with the same name and the same band name, but like over here, it didn't make any sense. So I got the phone number, and so he was going to place an ad on the radio station looking for band members. And I don't think the ad ever made it onto the airwaves because I snaked the deal before anyone else could.
Yeah.
I jumped to the head of the line, but the punchline is there was no line. So it was great. So I called him up, like as soon as I got home with the number. And you want out now, don't you? Okay, hold on. Got to let the cat out. There you go.
Get out.
Can't stand a closed door.
Yeah, cats are like that.
No. So anyways, I called him up, and sure enough, it was the same guy. I'm like, oh my God, this is such a weird coincidence. And I started, we just like chatted for a while, and I figured I'd do a little name dropping to impress him. I'm like, yeah, I like Artillery and Sodom and Creator and Bathory or whatever else I mentioned at the time. Figured he'd think that was cool. And he's like, oh yeah, do you like Slayer and Possessed too? I'm like, yeah, of course, everyone does.
Hey, Slayer by then that's a given.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I did have this sort of worry in the back of my head because I was like, oh shit, now I got to tell him I'm like freshly 17 years old. This might be a deal breaker, So I'm like, I don't know if there's gonna be a problem, but I'm 17 and I just kind of turned 17 because I figured like, if you've been in, there we go. If I figured back then, if you were in fanzines and had demos out, you were like a seasoned man of the world, you'd already done everything and seen everything. So I expressed my concern about my age, and he was like, oh, it's cool. I'm 19. It's not that different, no big deal. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, cool. So then we arranged a meeting to get together. Pretty sure my mom dropped me over at the house that he was staying at because I'd already failed my first driving test. So I couldn't drive quite yet. I had to wait till I was 18 for that. So, I went over there and we just chatted. It wasn't even like a tryout. I played him one of the Burnt Offering demos just to show him that I knew how to play fast. Like, yeah, I could play thrash beats and stuff. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. He didn't really seem to care about that demo too much. It didn't do a whole lot for him. But we mostly just hung out, and he played me the song Scream Bloody Gore on guitar, which he had recently written. He's like, hey, you want to hear this new song I got? I'm like, yeah, of course. And he played it. I was like, yeah, that's great. And I kind of just got the gig without really trying, just due to the fact that we got along and we had good chemistry.
Did you get the gig without having to actually play?
No, I mean, it kind of felt like I just had it. We just got along so good. It was just like instant chemistry, and I don't think he knew too many people in the area, maybe a couple. So it was like kind of instant kindred spirits, if you will. But he came to my house and we played a couple songs. Like he's like, what do you want to play? I'm like, well, let's play. I think I said Infernal Death, which was off the Infernal Death demo, which I got at the record vault. So I'm like, I get to play this now? Okay, because this is cool. I didn't have to like brush up or listen to it or do homework or prepare because I already knew the shit just from listening to it like 100 times or whatever. So yeah, we played that and a couple other songs, and that was it. I had it, you know.
I guess Joel, in a certain regard, and I could relate. So much of it back then was, if you have heart, and if you have heart and you've got enthusiasm and you're willing to do what it takes, that was 90% of the battle back then when as a teenager, when you're starting a band. Is that fair to say, Joel?
Yeah, and I also think it's great too, you know, the earlier days when you came across somebody who was into the same thing, it really clicked, you know, because it was like when you go to hardcore shows, if you're in the room, you're in the room, meaning that the person next to you is there too. So you had that connection with somebody, because it wasn't like this genre of music was massive to where, you know, if you wear a Metallica shirt, the guy might not be cool. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people into Metallica. Whereas back then, it's like if you know these bands, like you're kind of in like the secret handshake deal, right?
Sure.
Totally.
And it's like you know that person's one of you, and
Sure.
you can put it together that way. You can make connections, and you know, then you get into the indie labels and the demos and all that, because it was all these people who somehow found each other pre-internet, which I think is the most amazing thing. You know, the fact that everybody was kind of dealing with each other over the phones and, you know, making it happen across the country. It was pretty special.
It sort of reminds me of when I did the Boston Hardcore film and I interviewed Jamie from SSD. He mentions, and of course, this is all parallel universe stuff, right? He talks about in those early days of let's call it hardcore, you'd see someone with a Black Flag button and you would just zero in on that. And like, you would know, like, that person right there is a kindred spirit. And that's somebody that, you know, no, that was unheard of. People weren't walking around with Black Flag anything. But whoa, Black Flag button, you would just zero in on that and like, here's a fellow time traveler, you know?
Oh, totally. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And over here, like when the old death metal thing was just getting started, before like people knew what it was much, it was very much frowned upon in the Bay Area. It was not cool. It was not cool at all, you know? So we're definitely, oh man. Yeah. I got a good story about that show.
Yeah. I know I'm sort of stepping forward and going back and we're talking about death, but I think it's really important to set the table here as far as the Bay Area scene and Ruthie's and venues like that. Tell us, Chris, like what was I know this is like 1985, this flyer, but yeah. What was the temperament of the Bay Area? Like, I don't want to. Should I say thrash scene or like scene back then?
I think back then people weren't so hung up on like genres and labels and all that. That came later. It was just like people, you know, call it like just punk or metal or speed metal or whatever. It was kind of like a trial by fire time where mingling like punk and metal bands on the same bill. I mean, it was not smooth sailing at first at all. There was a lot of kind of clashing attitudes and stuff like that. I mean, not for me. It was never like that for me because I discovered like metal and like underground metal and punk around the same time, you know, like getting like Dead Kennedys and Black Flag singles and, you know, stuff like that. That was around the same time as discovering like, you know, Venom and Slayer for me. So I was like, I had feet on both sides, you know, I was stoked, but not everybody was, you know? So a lot of those shows where there was like punk and metal bands, at the same time, there was a lot of, not like fist fights and stuff, but like friction and a lot of looking down upon other people if they weren't into the same type of music as you. And I mean, fucking hell, it's just music, you know? I mean, why is it a problem if you like different band than somebody else, you know? Can
I quote you
yes.
here after doing some homework? And I quote our friend Chris Reifert here. There were plenty of mixed bills that featured both metal and punk, and the crowds pretty much hated each other, and there was clear friction. In hindsight, it was a good thing to get those folks in the same mix. And over time, the animosity lessened more and more to the point where it just didn't matter anymore, which is where we are now. Makes sense. It was definitely weird at times, though, in the early underground, the early underground days. I remember seeing DRI play with Possessed, and the punks threw eggs at Possessed.
Yeah.
That's just one example. I dug both bands, so it was a drag to see that shit going on. But what could you do besides not join in with that sort of behavior? Death metal was another story. When I joined Death, I had friends who just didn't understand and thought it was a stupid thing to do. In the Bay Area, death metal was sort of a joke since it didn't fit in with the thrash bracket. We didn't sing about politics or headbanging in the pit, and the lyrics were hard to make out. I knew what we were doing was killer, and I really didn't care if we were branded outcasts or whatever. That kind of shit just fuels the fire.
Yeah, I stand by all of that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to read such a long-winded quote, but I just thought
it's cool.
I just thought it was really poignant. Could you give us glean us any other perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, here's a good example. That show that you showed the flyer for with the Accused. That was at Ruthie's. That was kind of like our CB's, I guess. Just like everyone's favorite little shithole, you know. It was cool, you know. They serve underage kids there, and you know, stuff like that. But we got on that show opening up for the Accused. I don't know how we got shows back then, who talked to who to make these things happen. I have no idea. But we found ourselves opening up. I remember rolling into the show in the parking lot outside, or I don't even think there was a parking lot. You just parked out front. And the Accused was there. They had some like white van, and all they had out was their demo on vinyl. It was just like a plain white vinyl, no cover or label or anything like that. And they were really nice to us. So we came up and talked to them, and we were just like teenagers trying to be like a thrash band or whatever you call it back then. And they were super nice to us. They were cool. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And so they were headlining, which was weird because no one had ever heard of them. I don't know how that happened. And they drove all the way down from Washington for this little Ruthie's show, which was insane. Wow. And the middle band was Violent Coercion, and they were like a straight hardcore band. And that was, I believe, precursor to Neurosis. Wow. I think it was like, I think the guys, some people from Neurosis were in that band before Neurosis, so they were like hardcore. So what happened was we went on first. The place was packed. It was packed, and the crowd hated us. Hated us. I was glad to be in the back behind the drums because like we were getting spit at. Getting like boo, you know, someone mooned us. You know, it was Violent Coercion's night, their crowd. They were not having us, they were not tolerating us. It was terrible, you know, but we soldiered on and we did a good show and all that. And then Violent Coercion went on, and the place just exploded, just thrashing and all the, you know. We didn't call it moshing back then. That wasn't a term yet. It was like skanking or thrashing or whatever, slamming. People went nuts. It was like, damn, okay. And then as soon as they finished, the place emptied out. Everyone fucking left. The entire Violent Coercion crowd just bailed out of the building, leaving the Accused to play with our band watching and maybe two other people. So they drove all the way down from Washington to play for like 7 people tops. But to their credit, they could have been at fucking Madison Square Garden or some shit. They just ripped it up, killed it. You know, Blaine, the singer, was just being a maniac, fucking twirling the mic around and screaming. They had this bass player called Chewy at the time, and he had like a little like gorilla amp. Remember those little gorilla amps, like with a 10-inch speaker in it or something like that. It was mic'd up and distorted, and it sounded great. But we watched them, and they were amazing. I've been a fan ever since. Just so much respect for them for being nice to us for one thing, and just killing the show even when literally the building was empty. You know.
Let me ask you, stories of like Metallica in San Francisco? Was that part of like, I hear stories of like their fans would come and turn their backs on other bands. Was that part of like the culture in San Francisco when you go see bands, like you support your band and you kind of shit on the other bands? I don't know. I'm asking, was that like part of like what like the scene did back then?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's depending on who you talk to also, you know. I mean, sometimes things went really smoothly. Like I saw an outdoor show in '84. It was what's it called? Something at the aquatic park in Berkeley, but it was like Slayer, Exodus, Suicidal Tendencies. Blue Cheer was on the bill when they had
right on.
Yeah, it was a trippy bill, but that was one where everyone got along and was cool to each other for some reason. I don't know why that was, but a lot of the time you just catch shit for not being like that show. That's a great lineup right there.
This is killer, man. Burnt Offering, Attitude Adjustment, Boneless Ones, Death Angel,
Part-Time Christians.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
this. I mean, I don't know where. I guess Chris Contos isn't watching right now, but this is like, I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Contos, you know, was there, you know.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he would have been playing an Attitude on drums.
Yeah,
sure
you would think so. You would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Weirdly, I have no recollection of that show whatsoever. I don't remember anything about it. It's just kind of and I wasn't partying or anything back then. It's just kind of a weird blank spot in my brain. Yeah. But it did happen. There's the flyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely some kind of like elitism within the scene, whether it was like, I think the thrash crowd was more merciless towards the kind of like death metalers even more than the punks. It didn't make sense, you know, because I was into like anything that was fast and aggressive and, you know, loud and heavy, or just anything that had energy I was into. So I didn't fall into that thing, but yeah, the death thing was not warmly received at all. I remember being at a show, I think at the Stone on Broadway in San Francisco, just by myself, minding my own business, walking around, and behind me I hear death. I'm like, oh, someone likes our band, cool. I turn around, and it was one of the local darlings of the scene, you know, that everyone thought was cool. And he looks at me with this look of hate after he goes death. I turn around and he goes, garbage. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, man. And I just walked away and enjoyed whatever show it was I was at. But it was like that. It was kind of strange. And then, you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't believe that now.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a trip. But
no, I think in a certain way it's a little bit like in New York, you know, nowadays people look back into like the crossover days. It was so awesome. Meanwhile, I sort of remember like, man, either you were into hardcore or you were into metal.
Right.
And like sometimes they didn't mix and it could get violent, you know?
Well, let me jump in for a second.
Yeah, please.
You know,
please.
One thing to kind of tie it all back to the beginning, we talked about the Residents. I'm sure you know, Chris, they had a label called Ralph Records.
Oh, yeah.
And one of their releases in the late 70s, I think they did a couple releases with the band Tuxedo Moon out in San Francisco. One of the guys from Tuxedo Moon, Greg, ended up in a band called the Sea Hags. I don't know if you remember the Sea Hags or not from San Francisco.
Only by name.
Yeah, they became kind of a Guns N' Roses type band in the late 80s, but mid 80s, they were kind of like a Johnny Thunders type band. But they kind of came out of that initial like kind of art thing, punk. And Kirk Hammett was a big fan of theirs. And he produced their demo with Sylvia Massey, who became Tool's producer years later. So there was some kind of cross-pollination happening too, where it was like these weird connections were made with people bouncing around the scene. But the Sea Hags were definitely out there. I had Greg on my podcast recently. We dove into some of it. But how tight were you with the guys at that point in time, like the Baylofts and, you know, the Metallica guys? Were they still kind of around back then?
Oh yeah, they were around. Weirdly, Bailoff actually asked me to join his band Piranha when Autopsy was already going, and I politely said no. But oh yeah, he was ever present at shows. He was always there at all the shows, just partying with everyone and terrorizing what they called posers.
Right.
If you had like poofy sprayed hair, he'd like flick a match in your hair or whatever. That
Poser.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I was not part of the cool crowd, so I was largely just ignored, which was fine. I was there for the shows. I wasn't there to be part of the clique or the elite.
It's good.
crowd.
It's good. It builds character and probably really contributed to your great songwriting later on in life.
I don't know, man. I didn't want any part of the club. You know what I mean? I was like, I want to watch bands, and I'm not here to make fun of bands or talk shit or fucking ridicule a band because they're slightly different than another band. It didn't make sense, but that stuff had to happen because eventually now everyone can like everything without fear of getting beat up or a match flicked in your hair or whatever. But so it was a necessary process, and I'm glad that clubs like Ruthie's took that chance. I don't know what the logic was, but looking back, it was brilliant. It was weird and awkward, and then it wasn't awkward anymore. Now it is definitely not. Anyone can play with anyone, and it's cool now. It's great.
Yeah, 100%. We talked about you connecting with Chuck. We talked about how that came. How you joined. Let's talk a little bit about this recording from 1987, Death, Scream, Bloody Gore, which is considered by many to be the first death metal record. Could you give us any background on this, recording it, or can you give us any perspective on this?
Yeah, I mean, I remember everything about it. My time in the band was not that long. I was in the band for a year and a half, maybe. It all came and went pretty fast, but we got signed to Combat Records on the strength of our Mutilation demo that we recorded in, I think, April of '86, and we got signed to Combat Records, and we had it took us 2 tries to get that album recorded.
Right.
First Combat just let us pick out a studio, and Chuck he wanted to go back home to Altamont Springs, Florida, to, I guess, visit family, and I went along with him, and I stayed for the summer of '86, and the record label trusted us to just try and make the record. So we were in Altamont Springs. We busted out the old paper phone book, if you remember those. We're like, hey, we'll find a recording studio. So we just leafed through the phone book, found one called American Recording Studios, I think. I don't remember if it was in Orlando, something like that. But we went over and we talked to 2 people over there. I think one was the engineer and the other guy might have been the owner or something like that. And we were trying to relay what we wanted to do, and they looked at us like we were from Neptune or something like that. We're like, well, we're playing this music called death metal, and it's like if you put Slayer and Black Sabbath in a blender or whatever we told them. I don't remember, and they just looked at us like, okay. And so we booked some time, and we started getting set up. And this is one thing. One of the first things I remember, in order to dampen the sound of my floor tom, the engineer put stuck a maxi pad on it, a clean one, not a used one. But that was right. He was like, yeah, this will dampen the tone. I just remember I kept looking at it like it was really distracting. Like, why is there a maxi pad stuck on my floor tom head? It was weird. But we got through 7 songs. Just one guitar and the drums, and the sound was awful. It was they didn't know how to handle metal or aggressive.
They had no reference point to this at all.
No. In fairness to them, it was foreign territory. They didn't know what to do. And so Combat wanted a progress report. I don't know how they got it. I don't know how anything happened back then. Everything was through the mail or whatever, but somehow they got
smoke signals, right?
Yeah, carrier pigeon, I don't know, but they heard it and they did not like what they heard, and they were justified in that. They're like, yeah, this sounds terrible. Just scrap it, cease, halt, quit. We're going to send you to an actual legitimate place and do it right. And so they actually sent us to LA to Music Grinder Studios with Randy Burns, who had done Megadeth and Dark Angel and Possessed and some Suicidal Tendencies. I think he did their first album. And so they sent a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old to LA unsupervised, like, here kids, go, we'll put you in a hotel and book you studio time and go make a record. The first thing we did was buy acid off some guy sitting next to us on the plane. That was our first move. And we got to LA and we took it, and thank God it was bunk. It didn't do anything, which,
oh my God,
he burned us. But can you imagine just like a couple of teenagers getting dumped off into the belly of the beast, just tripping balls, as they say now? It would have probably not been great. So that's how much judgment we had. But it was amazing. They put us in this Music Grinder studio, which to me felt like an aircraft hangar or something like that. It was huge, high ceilings. It was insane. It was super pro, super killer. They sent us over there to do it right. What was that beeping? Oh, okay, nice. Don't make me break out the yodeling pickle.
It's New York City, man. It's like Armageddon. It's always Armageddon outside my window.
Oh yeah, I live in Vallejo. We hear sirens outside all the time.
Sirens. I wish all I heard was sirens.
The daily sirens. Yeah.
Right. Go on. I'm sorry.
Oh no, don't be. But yeah, so we went there and we did it right. We recorded everything in So that was November of '86 when we actually did that. So I would have been 17 at the time.
And John Hand doesn't play on this record, correct?
No, he does not. He was a friend of ours. This was back when we tried to find other band members, like a bass player or something, and we couldn't find anybody. Like now there'd be like a line around the block with people wanting to try out and stuff like that. But at that point, nothing. We're putting like flyers in like Guitar Center and stuff like that. Musicians wanted, not a single call, nothing. But John was a friend of ours who played guitar, and we figured, he plays guitar, he'll be able to handle it. And Chuck and I had already recorded the album, and he did both the guitars, rhythm, he did the bass, he did the leads, the vocals, I just played drums. And it was time to put the packaging together. And we're like, yeah, John will make it. It'll be cool. And so we sent his picture in with our pictures. But the thing is, we instructed Combat to state that Chuck played all the guitars on the album.
Right.
And they did not do that. So I guess they figured it would make the band look relatively incomplete. I don't know what they were thinking.
Well, I got to say, like Josh is saying here, is that it kind of crazy that this incredibly influential record, groundbreaking record, was done by a duo, with just you and Chuck.
Yeah, a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old.
That is what, and also the fact that the label trusted you and thought, hey, let these two guys go record this stuff.
Yeah, it blows my mind too. I mean, I guess they thought the demo was good enough to where it wouldn't. Oh, nice. They thought it was okay, but here's the thing: they also had it in their heads that it could be a total flop, and so they there was a guy named Don Kay who kind of like, who Don Kay is,
the writer.
I think so. I think he had he was a DJ too.
Yeah.
But he believed in the band, and this was all going on behind the scenes. I wasn't aware of any of this stuff, but he was like championing us to the label, And I guess what happened was the label was not convinced that this death metal thing was going to be anything but a joke. And so they told Don that if this doesn't work out, it's on you. And so in the liner notes, they actually put, unbeknownst to us, in the, you know, like after recorded at blah, 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 there's a note that says, this album is Don K's folly.
Oh,
that's in the notes. And we didn't know about it until we got our copies in the mail and we're reading through. We're like, yeah, there's an album cover and thanks, Liz. Wait, what's this?
wow.
Chuck was fucking furious. That was the first time I saw him yell at someone over the phone. He called, I think it was Steve Sinclair, who was at Combat at the time, and just like was reaming him on the phone. I was like, oh, this isn't good. And we were so pissed, you know, we're like, damn, such a slap in the face, you know. So I immediately took a ballpoint pen and I scratched out, this is Don K's folly, and I wrote "fuck you" on my own copy of the album.
Wow.
You know, I was so mad, and I still have that copy in my possession. So they were prepared for it to be a joke and a flop and all that stuff, but it was not a joke or a flop. So there you go.
Certainly not. Joel, I know this was a huge record for you. Can you talk us a little bit about just how influential this record was and how it meant to a young person like you growing up and coming up in this genre?
I fell into all this stuff at a very young age because I had next door neighbors who were older, like a good 5-6 years on me, which, you know, they're 15, 16, but they might as well be grown-ups, right? And they were schooling me on all this stuff coming out because I've always been a big music fan. So I hit the ground running with this album, with Death, you know. So I was very fortunate. I kind of saw the progression happen in real time over the years. Yeah, man, this record, from the artwork, you know, that classic Ed Repka artwork, to the sound of it. I mean, if I make a list of the 10 albums that most impacted me, this one's on it for sure. You know, here we are, 38 years later, we're having a conversation about this record. I got to wonder, you know, who the hell knows what anyone did at 17 is going to matter in 17 weeks, let alone 38 years. When you were recording this, did you and Chuck get a sense that at the very least what this album was a bit different than what was going on and would have an impact? Or is it just something that you're kind of realizing all these years later that what you did really was revolutionary? Or did you get kind of a sense that this was going to be an important record at the time?
No, I mean, thanks for the nice words. First of all, that was really cool. No, we didn't. It was like you said, we didn't. You don't think about like 2 weeks later at that point, you know. And I can't believe we're talking about this record. That's insane. But no, I think we were hell bent on making the record, and what happened with it after that was unknown territory. We didn't know what was going to happen. If he had some glimpse into the future, he didn't tell me about it. You know, we just were like, oh my God, we get to make the record. And the second time was the charm. The first time did not work. So we were really happy to be in a good studio, making our dream come true, you know, getting the record done. It was just eye on the prize, basically, you know. No thoughts about the future. I still don't think about the future. I don't know what next week is going to be, you know. No clue.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, you know, the Punks, never mind the Bollocks and the Ramones' first couple records, those are the ones, right? Hardcore, you think of the Bad Brains Roar cassette. For anybody watching this who's kind of new to death metal or not that deep into it, this was the record for that genre. And I'll die on that hill, that this was the one that that started the whole thing, you know, because shortly thereafter, then you start looking at like the obituaries are coming out, and, you know, we're looking at what's happening in Brazil with the Cavalera brothers, you know, and they were doing their thing at the time.
Sure.
So as far as American death metal, you know, hats off to you, Chris. I mean, you made a real classic with this one that, you know, is going to be the torchbearer for many years to come.
You know what? Thank you, man. Honestly, I was just in the right place at the right time. and just crazy enough to be into this stuff when literally no one else was in the area. Like, I didn't know. I lost friends over joining that band,
Wow.
Seriously.
Yeah.
In or out?
Crazy.
I had friends be like, why are you into that? You can't understand the lyrics, and it's just brr, 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 and you're not singing about nuclear war or thrashing in the pit, or people didn't understand. I had one friend telling me how lame this music was. He's like, you need to listen to Aha, man, that's good music. Seriously. It was like very, very polarizing. So I was just weird enough to be into it, and right place at the right time. And what made it beautiful is I was a fan of the band before.
Yeah.
If you would have told me I was going to join that band when I was collecting those demos, a couple of years before, I wouldn't have believed you. Be like, nah, that's not going to happen. That's crazy talk,
And why did your tenure in Death end? How did it come to a close?
Okay, so we made the album, and then Chuck, I think he was always kind of like homesick for Florida and his family and stuff like that, which I get, because I'm the same way. I like being at home. That's why I'm not a touring musician. You're not going to see me in a van or a bus going around the country. I mean, I've done that stuff, and I don't need to do it anymore, so, but it was really kind of like a homebody. I know he didn't like traveling. Right. And so we made the record, and he'd been staying with my house with my family, sleeping on the floor, which I'm sure was not ideal for him. So one day he told me, he's like, hey, I'm going to go back and, be with my family for a while back to Florida, and I'll be back and we'll pick up where we left off. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's great. Go do it, man. Make yourself happy, be content. Sure. And so the visit got long and longer and longer. And then I was like, starting to wonder, like, is anything happening still? What's going on? And like, I couldn't get a hold of him. He was kind of AWOL for a while. And then one day I called him up, and he picked up the phone, and I was just kind of like, kind of what's going on? Are you coming back? What's happening? And he informed me, he's like, I'm just going to stay home. This is where I need to be. I need to be in Florida with my family and all that. And he actually told me, if you want to come out to Florida, you can remain in the band, and we'll just keep going and get other musicians and just keep the ride going. And as cool as that was, and I was appreciative, it wasn't for me. I was not about to tear up my roots and move to Florida. I'd already been there for the summer, when I was 17. It was cool, but I'm not a Florida dude. And I like being home in California with, family and my cats and familiar things and my record collection and all that stuff. So we wished each other well, and he thanked me on their next album. He put me, good luck to the future and thanks to me. I'm like, oh, that's great. No hard feelings. And he kept going with Death, and I started Autopsy.
As we head towards a sponsor break, any fond memories of Chuck, like all these years later, that you could is there something that you could tell us all these years later that just a good memory about him, or something that you think about, sadly, now that he's gone?
You know what? I get a lot of questions about that, and a lot of time people are disappointed because I don't talk about the music all that much. I think just like the hanging out and we were like best friends at that time, definitely like outsiders of the scene, and we were really close. And so I think just like being friends and the goofy, immature stuff we would get up to make ourselves laugh. We were kind of idiots, but like in a fun, good-natured way. I think about that stuff the most. Like when it went to Florida, with the intent of making the record, I didn't have drums for a good couple of weeks or so because there was no drum kit. I was staying at his parents' house, sleeping on the floor in his bedroom, no drums, and so my my family couldn't afford to fly my drums out, and we couldn't afford or even know how to rent a kit. We didn't know how to do stuff like that. So my mom packed up my drum kit and sent it to Chuck's house on a Greyhound bus.
Wow.
And so that took, yeah, I know. And so that took like a good couple weeks or so. And so all we had to do was amuse ourselves before we could even play a note of music.
Big props to Mom for making that. Mom's a unheralded hero of death metal.
Oh yeah. Oh man, she was always supportive and still is. You know, she's
Does she know how instrumental she was in setting the death metal genre into motion?
I think she's had people mention it to her.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, I mean, she's still the best. She lives 3 blocks down the road from here. You know, she's 80 years old and is active as ever. She just got back from a week and a half trip to Mexico, and you know, she's still unstoppable. But yeah, but whatchamacallit, we would just do dumb stuff just to keep amused, you know, like just idiotic, moronic things to make each other laugh. And you know, I could go on about the specific things, you know, you just be like, damn, you guys are dumb. But just things like that, just being friends and just
right on,
making each other laugh, you know. But
yeah,
I think about that more than even the music part, honestly.
Sure. That's what resonates in the end, right, Joel, is the camaraderie and the time spent together, the friendship, you know, not so much the time on stage, or it's really those the moments of connection, of friendship that really, I mean, for me as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, my people ask who my favorite band is I've played in. It was the one I did when I was like a sophomore in high school. You know, we did 2 demo tapes. We were pretty awful because we were, you know, green. But I talked to those guys. I talked to them today, you know, and we're still friends 30 years after the fact, 30 plus years after the fact. I talk to those guys at least once a week.
Right,
you know,
on.
so it's those things that happen to you when you're doing all this stuff, you know, and bands you meet when you tour, and, you know, you meet up years later, you see their kids and stuff like that. So absolutely. I mean, the music is sometimes almost secondary to the friendship. You know, the music is the soundtrack to the friendship.
Very
That's
interesting.
Very
interesting.
Yeah, you gotta be friends with the people you're in a band with. Otherwise, what's the point if it's not fun? You know, unless all you care about is conquering the world and you don't care who you conquer it with, which is not how I think. You know, if you don't enjoy being in tight quarters with one another, whether it's a practice room or a car or a stage or whatever, then not worth it, you know?
Yeah,
I agree 100%. And I've said this before. Right now, I'm in a band where I really love the guys I'm in the band with. And it wasn't always that way. And at this stage of the game, at my age, I don't know if unless I was making really good money doing it, would I put up with being in a band with people that I just don't really care for.
The money wouldn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a band now with guys. I just love spending time with them. They're my good friends, my best friends, and just love doing it. And I think something can be said for that. And Chris, I'm sure, and we'll get to that, you know, it's like that for you now at this stage of the game, playing music and doing what you love. But that said, let's take a sponsor break. Let's take a deep breath. We're in no rush to get out here. I think we're gonna go. If everybody watching, we're gonna go until we're done today. So there's no rush. Nobody's catching any planes. So Chris, I'll see you in a couple minutes. Joel, I'll see you in a couple minutes. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's right. You asked for it. You got it. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest is Chris Reifert. Joel Gustin is co-hosting. We're gonna go for a while today. So if you're not in a rush, please stick around. Let's do some sponsor stuff, and we will be right back. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Yo, what's happening? I'm out here at one of our all-ages Sunday matinees on the Bowery. I hope that you are enjoying today's show. I just want to let you know that the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live needs your support. Please step up. There is a Patreon page that has a lot of unique program. Shows are announced there first. Lots of good stuff. There's a PayPal address right there on the screen if you want to make a contribution. There's also a super chat function. You could do that, but the bottom line is this show exists because of your support. We're going to be doing it for a long, long time. Thank you for all your support through the years. Back to the show.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth, society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
And we're back. What's happening? The New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, episode number 403. Hey, a couple of things. Please support the show. New York Hardcore Chronicles Live needs your support. Here is the Patreon, what do you call that? Scan. Support the show on Patreon. Best way to support the show. There's a $2 tier, a $5 tier. Please, if you watch the show, if you enjoy the show, support in some way, shape, or form. That is how we are able to do this more than 5 years later. So please, yeah, we're not going anywhere, Astoria Lou. So relax. Everybody on your Sunday. You like this fucking entertainment? You're sitting on your ass at home watching this shit? Support the show. Don't make me come looking for you. Speaking of shows, let's talk about what's coming up. This Wednesday, this show has been moved up from Sunday. So it's this Wednesday, November 19th. Dr. Chud from the Karens, the Misfits, etc. will be on the show. Then a week and a half later, Harry G. Angus. It's a side trip show, the Encyclopedia of Jerry. Hey, today we're talking about death metal. In a week and a half, we're talking about the Encyclopedia of Jerry Garcia music venues. We do it all here. Clock, socks, bagels, and locks. Menswear, silverware, ladies wear underwear. Sunday, December 7th, co-hosted by Lori Dawn. John Bush of Armored Saint, formerly of Anthrax, currently of Category 7, will be on the show. Wednesday, December 10th, Peter Bywaters of Peter and the Test Tube Babies. December 21st, John Gallagher of Raven, co-hosted with Joel. Lori back on co-hosting with Candace from Walls of Jericho. Dave Ingram has rescheduled. Dave Ingram from Benediction and Bolt Thrower, Sunday, January 4th. We just announced this the other day. Jennifer Finch of L7 and The Shocker. She's also, of course, photographer, visual artist. Sunday, January 11th. Hey, Rob Castoria, Big Rob Castoria, a New York hardcore favorite, will be on Wednesday, January 21st. Oh, this isn't announced yet, but just a heads up. Yo, side trips. Steve Berlin from Los Lobos is coming on the show. So we do it all here. Don't be shy. Want to shout out latest sponsor on Patreon, Mr. Andrew Wakeman. Yo, please, once again, show needs your support. Also, yo, there's room on the boat right now for another sponsor. So if you would like to join the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Women of the Pit, and She Devils Coven, and your name here, please reach out. There's room on the boat for another sponsor. This could be you, my friend. So don't be shy. Reach out. Also, if you're watching in rerun, please subscribe to the Stone Films NYC YouTube channel right there. And also, please take the time, reach over to the screen, give it a thumbs up, give it a heart. That helps with the algorithm. Yo, the algorithm. So that's what's up. Yeah, how about that? We got a dude from Los Lobos coming on the show. Yo, people want to come on the show. We do good work here. People want to come on the show. We're very, very fortunate in that regard. So let's clear the deck. You have the information you need. Make it happen. Let's clear the deck. All this and that. And let's bring on our co-host. What's up, Joel?
Hey.
And let's bring on our guest. What's up, Chris?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello. So in keeping with the spirit of the times, so the death thing kind of plays out, and then does that lead immediately into Autopsy? What was behind that? How did that come together?
You know what? I had a cool intermission in between Death and Autopsy. It was kind of a similar story, but on a lower scale. I was in need of a band or something to do, and a friend of mine told me that her best friend was looking for a drummer to fill in for a couple shows, and that was for a band called Desecration. So that was another Bay Area band who I had gotten their demo and was a fan of it through probably the record vault. And I found myself filling in with another band that I was a fan of. And we played a party and a couple shows at the Stone, and then that band broke up. It was kind of a cool little intermission. And then Autopsy, well, the way that came together was I had become friends, and Chuck also, with this band called Sadis from the Bay Area. And their bass player, Steve DiGiorgio, was friends with a guy named Eric Cutler, who lived in my neighborhood when I lived in the same town as him for a while. Steve, I don't remember how it initiated the conversation, but he knew I was looking for a band, and he's like, "Hey, you should talk to this guy named Eric. He lives in the neighborhood." It turns out he lived right next to me. Like, all I had to do was walk across like a condo complex that was under construction, and then he lived in a duplex in this little court. This was back when you could just go to someone's house and not be considered a psychopath. Right. Back when you can like call people and just go to their house and not have the cops called on you or something like that. But anyways, he's like, "Yeah, you should go talk to Eric. He's a guitar player. He's into the same stuff as you, and who knows?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." So I think I just walked to Eric's house. I got his address, and we just started talking. And exactly, yeah. Like,
who is it? Hey, you don't know me. I'm in a neighborhood. Hey, I just want to, let's talk music.
Pretty much, yeah. I was like, "Hey, Steve sent me," or one of those.
Oh yeah, I'm a friend of Steve's.
Yeah, so then I'm like, "Hey, want to burn a joint?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That kind of thing, and then you start talking about bands you like and stuff like that, and it was again like an instant connection. Like he was into the same stuff as me, like a lot of the same bands, and he was into the heavier, faster things as well as other stuff too. We were also into like Cream and Robin Trower and Frank Marino and Frank Zappa and Alice Cooper and all these other things, and Black Sabbath and so on and so forth. So we're like, shit, let's start a band. And that's what triggered that whole thing.
That and the what was that? Joel, anything as I'm kind of pulling this together?
Let's jump ahead a slight bit, because I want to see if the legend is true.
Uh-oh.
Word has it, Autopsy signs with Peaceville, which was a prominent label at the time for this stuff. They put out a lot of really great music. And correct me, was it the second Autopsy record or the first one that gave you a $5,000 recording budget, which was really decent back in the day? And you guys spent $2,500 of it on weed. Is that right?
Completely true. We did. And that's a lot. We did that. Peaceville trusted us to just make the record, and here's your budget, go make the record. We're like, well, damn, we can.
Was this the first record?
Yeah, we definitely did that, and that left us, I think, like 4 days worth of recording budget.
Well,
so,
you guys were uber responsible, weren't you?
You know what? Actually, when it came time to going into the studio and recording, we actually showed up, rehearsed, and didn't mess around. Especially when you only have 4 days to make the whole album. That's
sure. All
the recording and mixing and everything. It's insane. But we did it. It worked, and they didn't ask us for a receipt or anything like that. It was only later when they found out what we'd done. And for the second album, Mental Funeral, the head of the label, Hammy, he actually came out to be with us for the second album, probably with the endeavor of babysitting us, making sure we were good boys, and he quickly joined the party.
Mm.
So yes, that is true. That is factual.
How did you sort of end up behind the drum kit and singing? Was there a process there?
The process was we couldn't find anybody else.
The process was, you know what?
I didn't want it. I didn't set out to do it, or it wasn't on the list of to-dos. We wanted to have like a front person vocalist, and that we just couldn't find anybody. This was still kind of the earlier death metal days, where it was still kind of a weird activity to partake in. So I think we tried out, like, a buddy of ours. He was like, yeah, I'll be your vocalist. We're like, okay, cool. And it did not work. It wasn't good. He couldn't keep time or anything. It was like, well, all right. So
was this the original lineup?
Yeah. Well, Danny in the middle there, he's our second guitar player, and it's still us three. We're still doing this together, if you can believe that or not.
Yeah.
But whatchamacallit, we had a bass player, and so we were just a three-piece at first. It was me and Eric Cutler, who's on the right in that picture, and Danny hadn't joined yet. It was me, Eric, and another Eric on bass, and so we had to figure out something with vocals. And so Eric and I, guitar player, were like, well, we'll just both do vocals. We'll split it up, and I'll figure out how to drum and sing. It shouldn't be that hard. And he'd play guitar and sing. And we did that at first. And Eric pretty soon realized he just wasn't into doing vocals. He just wanted to play guitar. He did do a song on vocals on our first demo, and it did a killer job. It sounded great, but he just really wanted to stick with guitar. And so I just sort of inherited the job. I didn't want it, didn't ask for it, but we had to do something. So like, oh.
I mean, what was there any sort of, I feel like there was no roadmap at that point right, Joel, as far as a drummer playing this genre of music and singing?
I think the only exception was Cam Lee. Because I think when he was in Death, he was doing vocals and drums. but I think that's probably the only example besides yourself, right? That I can think of. Can you think of anyone else?
King Fowley from Deceased, he did it too.
Right, right.
So I knew that was another band I got into when I was collecting demos because they advertised free demo. So I'm like, oh, I can afford free, So I got the Deceased demo, and he was doing it like before I was doing it, but there was not many people doing that,
The Mentors. Hey, Kostabi, what's up, buddy?
Yeah. I saw the Mentors live once, and that was a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But
I like this comment from John. In the early Autopsy days, it was always funny watching people come to a show and look for the singer. After a bit, then watch their eyes pop out, realizing it was Chris singing in the back.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it. It was just like we couldn't find any. That happened a lot back then. We just couldn't find anyone else to do it. So you gotta get creative, and I figured I'd be able to learn how to do it and handle it. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Actually, it wasn't too difficult to pick up. Thankfully.
Was it challenging physically?
Yes and no. I mean, it takes everything you got, like stamina and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It wasn't hard for some reason. Like keeping time was not hard because the drums are already there, so it kind of makes the vocals lock in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of like breath. I always say, like, I'm glad we have slow parts in our songs because then I can take a breath before we blast into the speedy stuff again. But
it's pretty incredible. I'm a singer, and I'm up there and I'm singing and I'm trying to remember the lyrics, and I'm remembering lyrics. I can only imagine playing drums and trying to remember the drum parts and the lyrics. But then again, I do know that after a while, I'm on automatic. It's like either I know it or I don't, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Just go into robot mode and it just happens, you just try not to make silly mistakes live, but happen anyways. It's going to happen.
Joel,
someone just mentioned Mike Browning in the comments. Of course, Mike Browning from Nocturnus and early Morbid Angel.
Yeah. There's if we think about it for a while, there's probably a handful out there.
Yep. And we ain't talking about Don Henley here either. So
Karen Carpenter.
Right.
Peter
He's
Criss.
actually a phenomenal drummer.
You know what? I went into a deep Karen Carpenter dive recently as a drummer. She was a great drummer.
Oh yeah,
Karen,
for sure.
Karen Carpenter was won all kinds. She was like an incredible drummer.
Yeah.
I used to joke in early interviews all the time, like, what are your influences? I'd be like, Karen Carpenter. And that was before I actually saw footage of her playing drums. And now I'm like, damn, she was fucking hella good.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Oh, yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Fuck Phil Collins. Anyway, Phil Collins is like a punching. Phil Collins, Billy Joel, and Styx are like big punching bags on this show. So, one thing that sort of caught my eye in my homework is just some of these great bills that Autopsy was on early on. And here's, I think this is 89, the Milwaukee Metal Fest, 3. And nuclear. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that was our first out of state, our first airplane show.
Tell us about it.
God, looking at some of the bands that played there, Sick of It All is on there.
Sick of It All, Ludacris, Gothic Slam, who's
Old Skull, that band that was like little kids.
Yeah. Was it cool? Was it cool running? I mean, Death Continued when you cross paths again with Chuck and Death.
Yeah, we saw him there. Yeah, we were never not friendly. I even spoke to him shortly before he passed away, and we had one of our old jokes.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. I look at a show like that, I'm like, who got us on there? How do we even get involved in that pre-internet? I don't know. But that was our first like big crowd. I think it was like 1,500 people, and to us that was like enormous. Yeah, I love that picture. That was like the first time we'd seen anything like that during one of our shows. Like, oh
Was
my
that,
God.
I didn't look on the flyer. Was that at the Eagles Ballroom?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of classic Milwaukee Metal Fest venue, right?
Yeah, we actually played there last year with the new edition of Milwaukee Metal Fest. But yeah, that was our first airplane show, and it was awesome. You know, we walked around with like a duffel bag full of 25 or 50 t-shirts we printed ourselves and just sold them to people in the audience, and you know, just walking around with a duffel bag. We sold all our shirts, and
I love some of these flyers, man. Like these are great. You think hardcore flyers are great? Flyers from this era and this genre are just as fantastic.
Yeah, that was a outdoor party out in kind of like a farmland outside of Fresno, just really out in the middle of nowhere, and it was a great time. It was
Sadist. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Cool. And let me just show one more before we sort of this one's pretty cool. Hex, Sadist, Autopsy. Here you go.
That was that show was, I think, before we got Danny in the band. I think he actually went to the show because a buddy of ours was trying to get him out of his band Bloodbath and into Autopsy. So I think that's the one that he went to like check us out. But that show, it was at an abandoned bowling alley. We had a friend whose family owned this place called the Vogue Lanes, and it was no longer in use. And so he actually threw like a couple of gigs / parties there. And it was super fun. I remember one of them got busted by the cops, as things tended to happen back then. And I remember we were hiding behind the partition where the lanes were while the cops were busting the place, and we were like smoking joints and throwing old like broken bowling balls around and stuff like that.
That's all. That's awesome.
Super DIY. Yeah.
This is a European flyer from '89. Autopsy got over to Europe that early on in the game.
That was from '90. That was our first European tour. It was us, Bolt Thrower, and Pestilence. I think we all rotated headlining slots. There wasn't like a designated headliner. I think we all fought to not headline because no one wanted to. You just wanted to like get your show over with and party and stuff. So
sure,
it was like the battle of like who's gonna be stuck with headlining that night. But that was our first European tour. We did 2 that year. And that was a true drive throughout Europe in a van tour, like all the bands crammed in one little van. And it was a lot of fun. We got ripped off mercilessly. We didn't make a dime on the shows or the merch. We got just completely burned every step of the way. We didn't know how to advocate for ourselves back then. We were just like, we're in Europe, we're playing shows, that's good enough. But that was one of them.
We're in Europe. Rip us off. We're
all bending over. Take us.
Yeah, right. Have your way with us.
Exactly.
But in a certain way, I assume that was really the start of you sort of cultivating a loyal and faithful crowd in Europe, which you still go back there and to this day, and you're a beloved band.
Yeah, we were just in Romania last month, and we were in the Netherlands in, I think, July this year. So we still go back all the time. We don't do full on like treks across countries in a van or a bus, but we'll go out and do a show or two and come back home and go out and do it again. It's kind of crazy, but it's how we do it.
Yeah. As far as in 1995, when Autopsy took a break, may I quote you again?
Sure.
Here we go. It was the U.S. tour in '93 that did us in. It was way too long, way too poorly organized, and things got stressful pretty damn fast. There were good times and some laughs, of course, but ultimately the enjoyment of being Autopsy was drained away and the end was clear. When we got home from the tour, we had a short talk and all agreed it was time to call it quits. However, we refused to go out with a whimper and decided to record a final album, play a farewell gig on our home turf, and go out with heads held high. Looking back, I'm glad we handled things the way we did. We managed to stay friends and keep the integrity of the band intact as well. Do you still feel that way?
I do. I stand by that 100%. Yeah,
Right.
The tour was brutal. It was like, oh man, like 2.5 months, maybe 3 in an RV with like us and a couple of our friends who were, roadieing, but it was just merciless, like the guy that organized the tour, he didn't know how to organize the tour. I don't know how we got roped into that thing, but we were zigzagging all across the country. But the route didn't make sense. Oh yeah, that's a good flyer. That was the party that never was back in our.
I like this party till you pee red.
Yep. Yeah, that was a party we were supposed to play before we had a record deal or anything like that, and it never happened. But I love that flyer because it says "Party till you pee red," which I still find hysterical. As a 56-year-old man, still makes me laugh. But the tour was just brutal. We were getting hassled by cops all the time and getting threatened with jail, and stuff like that. We'd show up to shows and no one would be there, because there was no advertising. Like our first show was somewhere in New York, and we drove all the way from California to New York, and there was probably less than 30 people there. And then later I would contact friends and be like, hey, we played in your neighborhood. I'm sorry.
Like, what?
They'd be like, we didn't know. We had no idea.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I mean, it's cruel when that happens. And we've all been there, right, Joel? It's just cruel when that happens. It's almost like if they would have just got the word out, I know my friends would have been there in Pittsburgh, or wherever. But there was so much ineptitude early on. It just sucks, man.
It was brutal. I mean, hey, it was a character builder.
Yeah, right. It builds character, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It was gnarly though. It was just, I mean, the only way I could get through it, I just drank Jim Beam 24/7, like through the whole thing, and ate cold Chef Boyardee raviolis like right out of the can. Just pop the can open and just eat it with a spoon. And that was my life for like 2.5 months. It was not healthy or smart living, but we got through it. We did have some good shows. There was some that were killer. But
let me ask you about this in '92. I was confused. Is this South America?
That was in Mexico City.
Mexico City. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
That was awesome. That was a great show.
Yeah,
we played in this like outdoor concrete arena that I guess used to have it was like a bullfighting arena or something like that, we were told.
Wow.
But that was a killer show. There was a ton of people there, and I remember driving from the airport to the hotel, and they actually had like legit like full-size billboards on the side of the freeway with the that flyer on it, like a picture of the band and stuff like that. That was a blast. Super fun.
That's cool.
Yeah,
just sort of moving things along. Autopsy goes on hiatus, and you start Abscess with Danny, right? And you guys kind of came over from Autopsy, and you guys go on to release 7 albums in 16 years, and you make a big run at it. I guess in the end, Clint left the band, and that's why you sort of broke. You sort of that ended, and you resurrected Autopsy, but never a reunion show.
Oh, of Autopsy or
of Abscess?
No. Yeah, after all the tension was built up on the Autopsy tour, and we're like, this isn't fun anymore. If it's not fun, then let's just not do it. So Autopsy split up. Danny and I formed Abscess with our friend Clint, who was also up for a good anarchistic drunken good time. And so it was kind of like elements of Autopsy, but a lot of just like disgusting punk and hardcore thrown in there with a lot of people did not like that because it wasn't just pure Autopsy death metal. We caught a lot of Abscess was uphill all the way. You know, it was like no one ever really liked that band. now I hear people go, "Oh, Abscess was so great, I loved it." But
Yeah.
but for 15 years, man, we were like salmon swimming upstream trying to
Wow.
fucking lay eggs, you know, and like no one was into it. You know, it was like we were not cool or popular. Everyone was just like, when are you going to reform Autopsy? And for 15 years, I just said, never going to do that. No interest. We got this thing going on. This is fun. And we would just get fucked up and, you know, just be degenerates and go to practice and not practice. We just get hammered and like throw drums at each other and stuff like that. That picture, we, for the photo session, we made a cake in a tinfoil pan out of raw beef livers and dyed green cottage cheese, and we put 666 candles on the top, and we took a picture of it because we thought it was funny. And then we got hammered, and then someone picked up one of the livers and threw it at someone, and next thing we're like throwing cow livers at each other and cottage cheese and all this stuff is going in all over the walls and the rug.
Great shot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was the spirit of the band. But yeah, so then we left that night and then we came back like a week later and all the cottage cheese and livers had like rotted into the carpet.
Woo!
And it was brutal. We're like, nope. And then we just shut the door and we came back a week later with like hazmat suits and gloves and fucking rolled up the carpet and like threw it out. And it was a typical day in the office for us. Yeah, that was at Gilman Street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so one of the fun things that we did was for the first 2 years of the band, our drummer or bass player Freeway, who he played bass on the Autopsy tour as a session member. He joined Abscess when we first started the band, and he was also a drummer. So at the end of our live shows, he would just play drums. He would take over the drums for the last 2 songs or so. Danny would switch over to bass, Clint would play guitar, and I would just do vocals for like a couple songs and just break stuff. And I would just do stuff like fill condoms full of like colored applesauce or cottage cheese and throw them at people and break them on the stage. And our claim to fame was for the first 2 years of the band, we could never play the same club twice because we got banned from every single one. And we made
you and Gigi Allen, right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't take it like, I mean, it was all just good fun with us, but I mean, I was kind of an asshole. I'd like break house mics and throw them at the ceiling, and we get like all these concoctions we made in the monitors and stuff like that. Yeah, that was, you can see Gilman Street also says Save Gilman back there.
Yeah.
It's weird. They let us play there twice at Gilman, but we had to wait a while because they had rules of like what your lyrics could be about and stuff like that. Whoever was managing at the time, like times they didn't want us to play. But then there'd be someone in charge that was down with it. So we actually got to play a couple times. But I think after the second one, we couldn't come back. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we just kept Abscess going for, like 15 years. And then what the way the transfer happened back into Autopsy was in 2008, I think, or 2009. I was like, oh shit, the first Autopsy album is going to be 20 years old. That's kind of crazy. And so I pitched this idea to Peaceville. I was like, hey, let's re-release the first album, Severed Survival, with a couple of bonus tracks. I think that was it. Yeah, we recorded 2 brand new songs just to like celebrate the occasion, and they put it out as a single also. It was just meant to like make the anniversary special. But then as soon as we did that, we started getting all these offers to play live and stuff. Like people were like, oh, you're back. We're like, no, it was just for this thing.
Right.
And then the offers just kept coming, and they kept.
Is that when you played the Maryland thing, the Maryland Death Fest?
Yeah, that was our big comeback show in 2010. But we just started getting these offers, and they started getting really crazy to the point where even though we said never again for 15 years, the offers were getting unbelievable, and I was like, maybe we should think about this. This is like getting hard to ignore.
Sure.
And then so we finally, I had a talk with Eric and Danny, and we agreed we'll play a couple of shows. We'll reunite just for a show, and that's it. Then we'll just hang it back up. And then the one show turned into 3 shows. And we still had these ambitions of keeping Abscess going at the same time. But our guitar player, Clint, was not having it. He was like, fuck that, kind of like, fuck you guys. And he didn't say it that way, but he's like, I'm out. He dipped out, and we never heard from him again. It was really unfortunate because we were like super tight friends, and
we all have those scenarios in our musical careers, my friend.
Yeah.
Right, Joel? We all have, it's interesting. It's like,
and we also have the guys that we wish would go away. Right. Hey, a couple things real quick. Number one,
Please.
shout out to Chris Contos is in the house.
Right. Shit, I saw Chris.
Oh, what's up, Chris?
Wait, here he is. Yo, my brother Chris, such a great drummer and really great human being. Contos, what's up? We were talking about you earlier, Contos. We were talking about Ruthie's.
Yeah, Chris is great, man. I see him from time to time at shows, and he actually plays in the same rehearsal building as us. So we'll see him at our rehearsal building sometimes too. Yeah, Chris is great, man. You gotta love that
guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When you came back with Autopsy, that was with Danny Loker on bass, right?
Yeah. He played bass for our 3 comeback shows. It was kind of a transitional thing because Joe Trevisano, our bass player in Abscess, we had ideas of getting him into Autopsy, but we wanted to have kind of like a neutral party to play bass for the shows. It was kind of weird because we wanted everyone to be happy with what we were doing, and that included Clint, and so we're like, okay, we're going to get someone that's not from Abscess to play bass for these shows, and everyone should be happy. No one should be bent out of shape or anything like that. And I thought about Danny because I played with him before in the band The Ravenous. Was like a cool project we did. And I know Danny for a long time. He actually, it was like 1989. He just called me out of nowhere. He got my phone number because he'd done a project called Extra Hot Sauce. They put out an album on Peaceville. And so we were label mates for a minute. And so he got my number, I guess probably from Hammy. And one day he just called me out of nowhere. He's like, hey, this is Danny Loker. I just wanted to call and say hi. I'm like, oh, fucking cool, man. And we became friends, and we're still friends. But yeah, so I pitched the idea of Danny playing bass for those shows, and everyone was into it, and it was great. He killed it. He learned all our stuff, which was not easy to do. Our comeback shows were like 22 songs or something like that, and some of our stuff is pretty intricate. A lot of people are like, oh, it's primitive caveman metal, but if you listen closely, a lot of the time it's not. There's some weird squirrely stuff in there, but Danny was great, man. He killed it, and he was a lot of fun, and everyone loves Danny, so it was a good move. It was a blast.
Well, he's certainly one of the most beloved figures. And I want to say in this genre, Danny Loker was one of the most beloved figures in like 4 different genres. So,
oh yeah, we still see him. I saw him. I think we just keep bumping into him. We saw him in the Czech Republic when we played last year, and then he's just there. It's always a pleasure.
He's certainly one of the greats.
Right.
Hey, let me do a quick sponsor break. Let me shout out some sponsors, talk about some upcoming events, and let's come back and we'll take some questions from around the world, okay?
Good. I got a wicked coffee piss coming on here. This is good timing.
You go for yours. I'll see you in a bit.
Awesome.
Yep. Told you this was going to be great.
Yeah, this has been fantastic.
It's been great. What a great guy and a fantastic guest.
Totally.
So Yeah, let me shout out if you need to get up for a minute, smoke a butt. I'll see you in a few.
All right, man.
Here we go. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and germs. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today, Chris Reifert, co-hosted by Joe Augustin. Fantastic show. It is question time, by the way. I know you've been patient. I know you've waited. If I missed something during the show previously, just repost it. We're not in a rush. Nobody has any planes to catch today. So post up what you need to. By the way, we are sponsored by blah, 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 and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock Roll Hall of Famers Greg Riley, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information on online sales is being taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Yo, what's happening? She Devil Coven is a female-owned entrepreneur business based out of Connecticut. More to come on Connecticut. Owner Rachel King Keys handcrafts soy wax candles set with intentions for your sanctuaries. She's accomplished a life goal dream since beauty school, debuting her artist showcase Hotties and Hellions that features live bands, burlesque, sideshow acts, vendors, food trucks, and this year live auction with all proceeds going to the mental health program Punk Rock Saves Lives. Catch her in the tri-state area doing her thing, slinging candles at events, and keep an eye out for her show coming to New York in the spring of 2026. You can find her Etsy and on Instagram. Last but not least, come on now. George and 126 Hardcore Clothing's a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise, like you, my friend. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them and ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. That said, want to mention some events coming up. As a matter of fact, coming up soon, this Friday in New York City, like I mentioned, comedian Joe Sib down at the St. Mark's Comedy Club. This Saturday, here comes the Connecticut tie-in, friends. The hardcore holiday donation drive in the jewel of Connecticut, Wallingford, Connecticut, at Cherry Street Station. Concrete ties, incendiary device. It's going to jump off tonight. Glorious Wounds, Cooked Alive, and Icarist. So come on up. I'm coming up. Lori Dawn will be there in all her glory. Right, Lori? Yes. Right?
Yes, I will be there. And it's Eucharist. Eucharist, for Christ's sake.
Sorry, I'm delirious from all the death metal.
You're delirious. It's Eucharist.
Come on up, Lord. Come on, listen. It's cool that all these incendiary devices, whatever. But you know what? Lori Dawn is going to be there.
I will be there.
Right.
I'm using you all in my Long Island accent.
That's right. Long Island. I don't know if it's a Long Island accent. I don't
know what it is.
It's a hybrid of two things. But that's right. And a bunch of people. I'm coming up with the Phonic Rochelle, and there'll be a lot going on. So
it's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be a fun time.
Right. Out in Queens at the Bridge and Tunnel Brewery, Steven's playing with Serial Poets with a couple others on Friday, December 5th, and then the big banger.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Bring us all the coats. We're gonna have our Women of the Pit 3rd annual coat drive with Worlds of Chaos, Serial Poets, Tree, Butterbrain, and My War. All new songs, all new singers. Come on out. Bring your gently used coats. We don't want roughly used coats. We want gently used, clean coats or new coats. And that'll go to some area shelters, keeping people warm for the winter.
Absolutely. Sunday, January 18th at the Barrier Electric, free all ages Sunday matinee. Come on, bring the wife and kids. Sworn Enemy, Brass Knuckle Brigade, Nailed to the Cross, Deadshot, and Fracture. Yes, ID is playing once again with everybody's favorite Tree up in Albany, New York. on Saturday, January 31st. And then the next day, we are in Kingston, New York. Oh, I'm not supposed to announce this yet. You did not see that.
You do that every week.
I know.
You do that every week.
Listen, I'm dragging my ass. We're trying to sort some things out, but there's going to be an Incendiary Device record release show Sunday, February 15th, along with Silence Equals Death. Apparently, it's going to be their record release show as well. Roland Coffin, Dying Breed, and Reconstruction. So you didn't see that here.
Nobody saw nothing.
All right. I will see you in a bit. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Questions. Post your, listen, you fucking ask questions the whole show. Now it's time for questions. So post, repost, go deep, get weird. Right, Joel?
The weirder the better, man.
The weirder the better. Okay. Chris, are you ready? Are you ready to be pummeled?
I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, Count, by the way, hey, are we going to see you, Count Ralphus? We're playing upstate again. I think in your neck of the woods in Kingston. So you better come up. So Count asks, word on the street. Is Autopsy's coming back to New York soon? Is this something you can announce yet?
I can't. I you know what? I asked about it yesterday, and we do not have clearance for liftoff.
Right.
Apparently.
But the word is in the streets.
The word is in the streets. We are. I'm not supposed to say, but I think I heard yesterday that I think December 5th something may be announced.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
What bands did you get to tour with when you were in Death, Chris? Do you remember any of this?
You know, here's the awesome thing. We never played live. We could never find band members. You know, there was we wanted to, and actually Steve DiGiorgio, our good pal, he actually learned the entire album, and we were talking about like playing a show in San Francisco or something like that. And right around that time, Chuck moved back to Florida, so I never hit the stage with Death even once. Just we hit the rehearsal room and the recording studio, and that was it. We could not find band members if our lives depended on it.
Excuse me, I'm going to play on this groundbreaking, extremely influential record, and we're never going to play live. See you later.
Yeah, we wanted to, man, but we were so not cool, not fashionable. No one wanted anything to do with that stuff in the Bay Area at the time.
Wow, that's so fucking wild. Hey, have you seen your hardcore trading card?
No, do I have one?
Yes, you do.
Oh, no way. I love these. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What a weirdo.
Cool one. Yeah. But the back is really good. You got to see the back. The back.
That is so, oh man, what a cool surprise. That's amazing. I love these things.
Yeah, here is the back, which has a lot going on here on the back, man.
Oh my God, did I do all that stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. That is so cool. I'm flattered.
There's a lot going on there, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I'm flattered and honored. So cool.
And then you're so special. Apparently, there is a rookie. He does these rookie cards now of like, you know, when check out your rookie card of you when you were a rookie.
Oh man.
There you go. The rookie card.
Oh man, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
That's amazing. The Nasty Savage shirt makes its return. Yeah.
And Josh says, thank you so much, Chris. They'll be posted on Instagram tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. Cool. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, Josh will reach out to you. So okay, let's get down. Chris Contos, where are you, Chris? Hold on. Oh, thank you, Chris. How do you feel about the current trends in drumming and everything being defined stylistically by BPM?
I don't even think about that stuff. I don't care about BPMs or how fast or how slow you play or anything. And I have a feeling Chris, I have a feeling you're the same way. You know, what is it? what does it matter how fast you can play? Or I'm more interested in like soul in playing, you know, like music, not like necessarily soul music, but, you know, rock and roll or metal or punk can have soul to it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not like cold, clinical, like, is that a computer or is that a person playing those drums? I can't really tell. You know, I want to know it's a real person. I don't care how fast or slow you can play. That doesn't impress me. You know, I just want,
Sure.
I want feeling, you know?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Turjay Anderson asks, why did Peaceful change the cover on the Severed Survival album?
Apparently there was a few distributors who would not stock it with that art, because I guess at that time it was considered mildly shocking, which now it's like that's almost like a Norman Rockwell painting compared to what's out there now. And we didn't think it was that shocking back then at all. It was not. I mean, it's just artwork, you know. It's not a big deal. It's not terribly realistic looking or anything, you know. It's kind of like a riff on a scene from the movie Hellraiser.
Right.
But we were informed by Peaceville that they were having problems getting distributors to take the record, and they approached us with the idea about alternative artwork, and we were stoked. We're like, as long as we can, you know, get some cool artwork, two album covers, you know, for the same one. I mean,
yeah,
we were happy, and then we love both covers, and everyone can pick and choose their favorites if they want or whatever. But I really like them both, so we were very happy with that. And it gave us a little bit of notoriety too, like, oh, they're banned by distributors, and it was not really that big a deal, but you know, we'll take stuff like that and run with it, no problem.
It's like putting back in the day when they put the parental sticker on something.
Mm-hmm.
It basically guaranteed it was going to sell a certain amount of units, right?
Oh yeah, it just makes you want it more. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were hyped. We thought it was great.
Yeah. Brian Jean Poole, how do you feel death metal has changed since you first started? Has it changed for the better?
I think the biggest thing is everyone knows what it is now. You know, because back when we were in the early days, you know, no one knew what it was. You know, now you could just probably walk up to a random person in the bank or the grocery store or whatever, laundromat, be like, do you know what death metal is? They'll probably be like, yeah, I don't like it, but I know what it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe I love it or whatever. So now everyone knows what it is, which is pretty wild. The fact that it's still a thing all these years later is pretty cool. But I think the heart of it is the same. If you play it and it makes you feel good, or however you want to call it, or listen to it and it makes you feel good, that's still the same, you know. So I think people have expanded on the formula or the format of it to where there's different variations and offshoots of it and different spins and twists on it and stuff like that. But that's cool too. That's the whole thing about having a band, is doing what you want with it. So I'm not one to downplay anyone's vision of what death metal should be. I think if you have a band, fucking do what you want. That's why you're doing it. So it's come a long way, you know, because we used to play shows for like 10 of our buddies if we were lucky in the old days, and now we can go and play a festival and there's like 10,000 people or something like that. So I'm happy with that. I like it.
Jose says you can buy the band's t-shirts at Hot Topic now, which helps the bands get recognized.
Not Autopsy shirts, but a lot of bands.
Right.
And basically, if you don't get an Autopsy shirt from us, it's a bootleg. We do all of our own merch exclusively. But yeah, that's very true. You can go to a mall store and get a death metal or hardcore shirt, whatever you're looking for. It's probably there.
Joel, does that make sense? You have any take on sort of the evolution or de-evolution of the genre?
It seems bigger in a sense that when I started going to shows, it would be like you described earlier, a bunch of bands crammed into a van doing club dates. But obviously in the last, I'd say 20 years, we've seen a lot of festivals in America and overseas where you get a ton of bands over the span of a couple of days. I don't think that would have happened 30 years ago, besides maybe Milwaukee Death Fest, right? But so I definitely see a lot of that. You read about things over in Europe. There's a lot of festivals. So it's definitely bigger, but it's a cool thing, death metal, because it's gotten a little bit bigger as far as these festivals and stuff, but it's still underground, so it's a really nice kind of middle ground I'm seeing. Which kind of leads me to a question, Chris, because obviously you've done a lot of festivals. What's your take on that in general? Is it something that you enjoy doing? I talked to some bands, they like it, but logistically it can be a little stressful, and it's a bigger nut to crack in a lot of ways than just doing a club gig, for example. Where do you sit on the idea of festivals?
We do them all the time. I mean, that we do more festivals than club shows these days. We'll do club shows too, but I mean, they're all different. Each one's a different animal. I don't think any of them have been identical to one another. I mean, there's certain ones that we just keep going back to time and again. Like we've done Maryland Death Fest a few times. We've done one called Stonehenge in the Netherlands a couple times. They're all different. Some of them are really smooth and really well organized, and sometimes it could be a little clusterfucky, or it just depends, I like some surprises sometimes. We did one called Chaos and Tejas in, I think, 2011 in Texas, and it was like a mixed bill. It was us. I don't even remember who else played now, but that one was cool because we had a bunch of like crust punks come up to us and go out of the way. Like some dudes came up to me like, I already know I'm not going to like your show. I'm just telling you that right now because you're playing here, and I think you guys aren't going to be any good. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that's fine, And then the awesome thing was after our show, some of those same guys came up and were like, I changed my mind. That was fucking awesome. It was like, oh, cool, we won them over. That was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was so good. But they're all different. Like I think probably the one that was the most fun, probably the funnest show I've ever played in my life was a festival called Obscene Extreme in the Czech Republic. We played that last summer, and I've heard all the stories and stuff about it, and it was all true. It was just so much fun. They call it a freak friendly fest. So there's just people running around either like weird costumes on or fucking naked or wearing just a mankini or like, whatever. What was that? Obscene Extreme. Yeah, it was so much fun. And they're kind of also known for letting the audience get on stage and stage dive off. Like they have sort of like a designated spot in the front of the stage, like in front of the monitors and stuff. So you don't get like unplugged and shit like that. But they kind of just let people sort of line up in their wacky costumes or no clothes or whatever they want to have on and like get up.
Where is that? Where does that take place?
It's a place called I know I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, like Trutnov.
What country? What country?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was the Czech Republic.
Oh, the Czech Republic. Got it.
Yeah, it was incredible. So that I mean, it's just, I don't know. The vibes were just like unlike any other fest. And the Kirby, the guy that puts it on, he was bugging me for like 12 years or something to play it, and it just never worked. And he's like, I'm telling you, it's gonna be the most fun you've ever had. I'm like, yeah, cool. And we played it. I'm like, dude, you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, festivals are awesome. That picture is from a festival called Old Grave. That was in Bucharest in Romania. We played there last month. That was the first time we'd been there. That was awesome. We had a blast. Our guitar player, Eric, his wife, Christina, actually, that's her festival. She runs it.
Oh, wow.
So it was high time we got out there and played it. But that was incredible.
Cool.
The only thing that's hard about like European festivals for us is the traveling part, because being on the West Coast,
it's brutal.
You got to like fly across the entire country, which is big. And then you fly across the ocean, and then you fly to whatever country you're going to. So you got to
fly across the entire country, having people breathe on you with no fucking sleep and shitty food. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
you know, basically by the time you get there, you're getting sick. So
Yeah. Actually, Drew, I was going to show up at your ID show in San Francisco and just and like surprise you. Like, I know you don't know me, but we're going to be talking soon. So what's
Well,
up?
Chris Contos was hung out the whole time with us, you know?
Dude, I was gonna do that, but we got
That
back
would've
from
been
that
great.
Romania trip, and I
And you were
haven't
shot.
I got sick. I came home with
Yeah.
a cold from the trip, so that kind of squashed that idea. But the
Yeah.
intent was just to roll up and surprise you, be like, "Hey, what's
It was
up?"
great. It was a really fun. It was one of those, and like what you're talking about, like once in a while you do one of these sort of festivals where the promoter is righteous and they treat you properly and treat you with respect, and it's just magic. And that was Punk Rock Bowling was like that for us, and this Crash Fest was like that. Once again, Count Ralphus with a great question. A new book about Chuck called Born Human just came out. I know Chris loves reading music books. Did you get the Chuck book yet? And when will we finally get your autobiography?
Okay. Funny on both of those. I actually got a copy of the Chuck book a couple days ago. So I do have it. I've leafed through it. I had to read my section just to make sure, you know, everything was accurate, and he did a good job on that. So I do have it. Yes. I haven't read the whole thing, but I will. I'm sure I'll learn a lot of things I didn't know before. I'm looking forward to that. In terms of me writing a book, funny you should mention that. I've actually been working on one for the last, I think 2 or 3 years, and it's going to come out on Bazillion Points. I've been talking with, I think we have a mutual friend in Ian Christie.
Fantastic.
We've spent hours and hours and hours talking on the phone, going over all this stuff that I keep sending him, you know, and you know, we're going through it with a fine tooth comb and all that. And I'm imagine it'll come out sometime next year. I'm pretty excited about it. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. I figured after Abscess split up, I'd have enough crazy stories to make a book, but it didn't get around to it. And then I think it was like three years ago. I was like, I had a couple of months after shows. We didn't have anything booked. And I got inspired. I'm like, now's the time. So I just got my wife's laptop and just typed like a madman just for.
So you did it the old school. You typed it out?
Yeah, on a laptop, you know.
On a laptop, yeah.
But yeah, I actually like typed it all out for like 2 months straight, just like almost all day, every day. I'd like forget to eat and drink water and all that. Just like
That's
hours,
awesome.
Hours go by. You're like, oh, how'd that happen? But yeah, it's in the works. It's gonna happen, and I'm going for entertainingly factual or factually entertaining, like just like mostly band stories and you know, a lot of funny stories, like I can't believe that happened, you know, stuff like that, and you know, some kind of life stories in it too. But it's been a lot of fun, and I hope it's not the only one I get to do. I already want to do another one.
Well, I think you're certainly landing the right home, right? Joel, Bazillion Points makes sense, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Not only do they do good products, but they represent, you know, the genre very well, and have done some good work with other folks. I think didn't Tom Warrior's book come out on Bazillion Points? I believe it did. His Hell.
He's oh man, it was funny because I first had the idea of writing a book and I didn't have a home for it or anything. I asked a few friends, like, do you know who would possibly be would anyone be interested in this? You know, I was ready to hear, no one wants that shit. You know, who cares? But I had a few people mention Ian and Bazillion Points. You know, I've like anyone, I know some other people have written books or just know Ian or whatever. And everyone told me the same thing, like go write to Ian. And I'd already kind of known him loosely, because I wrote the intro to the Swedish death metal book before. Ian's great, but so I kind of knew him a little bit, but then everyone kept pointing me in that direction, and so I approached him with the idea, and he's like, "Fuck, let's do it," and we're doing it.
Yeah, that
very cool.
I got one for you. what's going on here?
Oh, that was during the brutal U.S. tour, and I think we had an impromptu shaving cream fight in the parking lot of what looks to be some kind of gas station or truck stop or something like that. We were fully losing our minds by that point, like just stress and unhealthy living and all that. And it was we did have little moments of fun, and that was one of them. That's Danny on the right, and I'm on the left, and our friend John Chandler, who drew most of our band logos, that's him in the middle. Yeah, we were absolutely losing our minds by that point. Like, it was no sleep, bad, just hard traveling. But sometimes some funny shit happens. That was one of those days.
100%.
Yeah.
As we head down the home stretch, let's see if anybody else has any burning desire. Please repost. See what else we got here. Hey Joel, don't you have your music project heading towards completion?
Yeah. I got a couple of things happening that are really exciting me. But yeah, I've got an EP coming out on December 5th. Mm-hmm. It's from a project I have called Rise, Reign, Revolt. To make a very long story short, myself and 10 other good friends of mine have been working on this project for many years. It's an 11-person band, including Ted Parsons and Troy Gregory from the old Prove You Wrong Prong days. They're on this project. It's the first time they've been on a record since 1992. And we're putting out a single on the 5th called Vultures. It's a benefit for various animal rights, animal rescue organizations in the States as well as overseas. And we just thought, this project kind of happened organically, and we wanted to do something special than just put out a record and then argue about splitting royalties 11 ways, right? So we thought, well, let's do something cool, something special. And we figured, with the economy being what it is in the States, human beings are struggling. Well, what about their pets? We see pets going without food right now. People are surrendering their animals. It's like, look, if we're going to do music like this, let's do something really unique and helpful. So we're going to be hopefully funding some cool things for the animals this time of year with the EP. Again, it's called Vultures. The band is Rise, Reign, Revolt. I got to remember, even though I named the damn thing. Comes out on Bandcamp on December 5th. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about it when we connect on Wednesday as well. But anybody who wants to download the single, it's going to be $3. And every penny is going to go to animal rescue and animal support. So
fantastic!
Thanks for your help.
Cool.
And for those wondering what Joel will be back co-hosting the show mere days from now. We'll have Dr. Chud, our old mutual friend, Dr. Chud, formerly of the Michael Graves era Misfits, currently of the Karens, Dr. Chud's ex-ward, and Sardonica. So that will be happening. Chris, Human Brisket asks, what plans are next for Autopsy?
Well, right now, not a whole lot because our guitar player, Eric, just had shoulder surgery like 2 weeks ago. And so he's got to recover from that and, do rehab and kind of get back in fighting condition. So giving him some time to do that. I went through that in January. I had shoulder surgery too. And it takes a while to get back from that. It's gnarly, but as soon as he's back and ready to roll, we're going to do some shows. We've got 2 lined up so far, but neither one has been announced yet. We're determined to make a new album. We were supposed to do that earlier this spring, but my shoulder kind of put a halt to that. So as soon as everyone's in peak condition and we have time, we're going to make a new album. That's pretty much what's going on right now. A couple shows. Hopefully, fingers crossed, next year we get a new album recorded. That's pretty much what Autopsy's got going on.
The wear and tear on this guy, huh, Joel? Between playing drums and singing and everything else. Oof.
It's intense. I got a hernia in the middle of playing a show in Brazil once in the middle of the set. You know, I had to finish the set and get home before I could even get that fixed. So it's yeah, my doctor's like, I couldn't believe it took this long for that to happen. You know, then the shoulder, that was also just due to wear and tear and from doing this kind of stuff. But you know, shit keeps you going.
So what's more painful, getting a hernia, playing a show, or writing a fucking book?
The hernia was terrible.
Yeah,
that was awful. You know, the worst part was getting home, just like holding the lump in my gut. You know, like just like that was like 24 hours worth of flying to get home. You know, Brazil's far, and then you got to get home, and then you got to wait for the surgery, and so. I loved writing the book. That's been a blast. I've been loving every minute of that. The hernia is not recommended.
Hey, Joel, are you still, when you're working on your, you do a lot of writing, Joel, and I assume you're still just straight typing your stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm doing? You know what I'm doing now with I dictate into the MacBook, just stream of thought. Although the MacBook doesn't like get everything, but I'll do like, 15-minute stream of thought. And then kind of go back and edit it and, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's I'm still kind of stumbling around with it, but, as we really head down the home stretch, Chris, here's one from Brian Jeanpool. Being a true pioneer of the death metal genre, do you think the younger generation's bands can effectively carry the torch to continue the genre in the future? And if so, what bands do you feel will, or are you connected with any young bands at this point? Do you feel inspired by any?
Yeah, I mean, I mostly encounter younger bands and stuff like that when we play shows together. Mm-hmm. I don't actively seek out like new death metal bands, not because I don't like the music or whatever, but I've heard so much of it and I play so much of it. I don't really listen to death metal at home much, believe it or not. It's when I do, a lot of the time it's so I can feel like I'm hanging out with my friends. You know what I mean? But yeah, of course. I mean, someone's got to keep this going. We're all going to drop dead at some point. I mean, it's just like rock and roll or punk or jazz or country or any kind of music you may like. I mean, it's going to keep going as long as people want to play it and hear it. I always just figure we're all just links in a big chain. Like none of us are the first to do this stuff, and we won't be the last. So just I'm happy to be a part of the party.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm getting hungry. Let's go get something to eat. I want to thank you, Chris, for coming on. Fantastic show. We all knew it was going to be. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I was really looking forward to this. I've been a fan of the show before thinking I would ever be on it. That was a really cool surprise getting invited, and thank you so much for that. Hanging out with you guys has been a blast. Thanks to everyone that's been watching and listening, whether it's live or, in the future. I'm talking to the future, if you're watching on YouTube or whatever. So future people, hello, thank you. Just thanks to anyone that supports not only what I do, but anyone that's into this music. Thank you. And that's pretty much it. And I wanted to say, I had a thought last night, right before I went to sleep for the night. It's not really a thank you, but it's just something, a little something I want to say. And that is, be cool to each other. It's a rough world out there. Life's short. Don't waste it on fucking negative bullshit. And you can accomplish a lot by not being an asshole. And that goes to everybody, including myself.
Fantastic.
Be nice to each other. It's not hard.
100%. We agree with you on that one, man. And that's great. We look forward to all the best to Chris for the surgery. Well said.
Oh, mine's done.
Oh, right.
I'll pass that on to Eric.
Pass that on to Eric. Thank you, Contos. Yeah, it was a great show, man.
Oh, right on, Chris. You rule,
Yeah.
dude.
Thanks, and I'll see you when you make it to New York. We'll see you soon, man.
Yeah, totally.
I hope so. That'll be awesome.
Yep. All right, I'll talk to you soon, man.
Take
All
care,
right, cheers, you guys. Take
Take
care.
care
Get
now.
some food.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Woo!
Great show. Great guest.
Woo!
That was fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody out there. It was a good show, had a good audience, and he was a great guest. And I love when you're on, Joel, you know?
Yeah, doing this show, doing the stuff I do, a lot of it is about just honoring my past and my youth and when I discovered music and all these great underground bands, Death being one of them. So in 2025, man, to spend an afternoon with you and Chris means the world to me. And he was such a cool guy, as Larry Kelly said in the beginning, he's one of us, 100%. So it was a lot of fun. So thank you.
Yeah, it was great. And we're going to take a deep breath, and we'll be back in a couple days with our mutual friend who we share a lot of life experience with. And this is going to be another great show.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I love Chud. He's in a great place in life, and he told me he can't wait to share with everybody.
Is that
all the
right?
great stuff he's got going on. So
yeah, we have tune into this next one, everybody. I have some history, and Joel has a lot of history with this next guest. So, all right, I will see you in a couple days, Joel.
you got it, my friend. Everybody, thanks so much for viewing this, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
Take care.
Cheers.
All right, bye-bye. Woo! That was fantastic. Great guest, great show, a lot of fun. Everybody out there, I'm sorry if we didn't get to everybody's questions. Just tried to make my way through it to the best of my ability. It was fantastic, really great. And we'll be back in a couple of days, so don't go anywhere. And I also want to mention, hey, if you're up in the Connecticut area, well, first off, if you're here in New York, Friday, I'll be down at Joe Sibb's comedy show on St. Mark's Place. And then Saturday, I'll be up at Cherry Street Station with ID doing the Cherry Street Station. So I think we are good. Thank you, everybody. Once again, we are very fortunate to have each other. Once again, like Chris was saying, just don't be an asshole. Until next time, do good things, and good things will come to you.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes.